Hello there everyone, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations and thank you very much for joining my stream. A big old shout out to Steve Mac84 for sending all of his viewers my way. I do appreciate that, thank you very much. And what a good stream it was. For those who might have missed out, Steve was, I think it was an LC575. He had a sound chip that he needed to replace. Thought he needed to replace that sound chip, still not got no sound. Then he removed caps that had already been recapped by someone else and found a broken trace and repaired it and managed to get himself some glorious sound. And I tend to agree with his thinking that with a good old ultrasonic clean of that board, I reckon that crackling might end up being gone. So anyhow, there are quite a few people here today. Maybe a little bit more for me to go through and do all the hellos to everyone because this is definitely starting strong. I've had quite a few new subscribers over the last few days. I'm not quite sure what's caused the influx, but if you are one of those people who have subscribed in the last few days, thank you very much, and thank you for joining me today on the live stream. I will try not to disappoint. Where are we? Notifications are good today. Well, that's good to hear. Good morning from Singapore. Hello, and good morning to you as well. It is still morning here. Yeah, 11 a.m. So, right. So, I've got a few things to just sort of mention fairly quickly. They are that I apologise for not streaming over the last couple of weeks. I had a few things. First of all, for those who might have been following the news, there was some fairly significant rainfall here in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, and I ended up with some water leaking through the floor of the workshop here. It was coming in, running across the floor. And so I had to do a big old clean out, pull things out and find out where the water was coming from and get that all fixed, which I did do, but it occupied a lot of my time. And of course it was occupying my time during absolutely bucketing down rain. So it was not a particularly fun weekend, and it completely and totally eliminated any chance of me doing any sort of live stream that weekend, that's for sure. And then the following weekend, I was occupied on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, I just got in here and I did a recapathon. And I just had so much work to get through that I just, got in here, head down, bum up, and recapped as many things as I could last weekend. And of course, that's it's very difficult to stream at the same time. So. Now, I've as you will have noticed from the clickbait live stream thing, I have got a huge pink box out there that I need to open up and see what's inside. It's been sent to me by a customer, and I don't know what's in it, but I can tell you what. Normally, when I get recapping jobs, they come in little light boxes like this. That one weighs a friggin' ton. So I'm curious, whether he has just sent me a box of house bricks and maybe one or two boards to recap, or whether he has sent me an absolute mass of work. Or something else, who knows? We'll see. We'll see once the box is open, and that will be coming shortly. Just want to mention a couple of things fairly quickly. I've got a few new toys that I've got recently, and this is one of them. This is a DT71. It's essentially a multimeter in the form of tweezers. And what's really nice about these is because of the way they're configured, I can test things on a board quite easily. So I can go in here and if I want to measure the resistance of a resistor, as what one does here, I can put the tweezers on here like that. Whoopsie. And I can then get a reading on here, and this is except that it's telling me I've accidentally bumped it and put it into diode mode. Let's put it into resistance mode. That's one of the things I don't like about this. It's very easy to actually accidentally change what you're measuring. So I'm going to measure R181 here, and it's telling me it is about 800 ohms. There you go. So anyhow, I'm going to be trying this out and seeing how it goes, having a bit of a play. There are already a few things that I don't like about it, but we'll just wait and see what happens with that. But it is, it's very cute, and it does seem to work, so that's all nice. I've also recently acquired one of these. Now, this is a soldering iron. This brand is Shine Now. Don't look for it. they're not there anymore. This is very similar to the KSGR ones that I recommend in my video description. Now, unfortunately, none of them seem to be available anymore, and I don't know why. They all come in this sort of box. You've got your normal sort of power socket here. They are a switching power supply, so they run off 110, 120, 220, 230, 240 volts. We're 240 volts here in Australia. So these will, these, depending on what cable you get with them. I mean, I've got a US cable with mine, but obviously I've got plenty of spare cables lying around. And this is a soldering iron, and I have to admit, from my early testing, I've been very happy with it. One thing that I do want to mention about it is that it uses T12 tips, which are the same soldering iron tips I use on my Hako station. Now, they're not exactly the same, and I'll show you why. I'm going to grab a soldering iron tip, and I'm going to pop it in here, just like that. There we go. Now, when you're holding this, I'm holding that there, and there's the soldering iron tip just there, right? Now, if I've got my Hako one, I'm holding it here. You see the length between my hand and where the tip of the soldering iron is compared to this one. You can see that where you hold it is a lot further away from the tip of the iron, which does impact on the amount of control you can get over the soldering iron. Now, that is probably my only criticism about it so far. It's got a massively overly complex menu system in there, and so that in itself is well, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But for just general use, you switch it on, you control the temperature with this knob here, and you're away. It heats up very, very quickly. It's using T12 tips, and they're the ones doing the heating. So I mean, they work very well. So, all in all, I'm quite pleased with this. Now, I haven't opened it up and gone and found out if it's made like garbage inside, but so far from what I've seen, it's pretty good. Now, the big problem with these is even this one here that I bought, go back to the same link, they're not available anymore. They're sold out. So I have got to try and find a link to some of these where you can actually buy them, because it's one of the things that I do get asked a lot. I get asked a lot about the soldering iron I use, and I do like this one. So anyhow, I just if anyone has any questions about that, please let me know. It would be really nice if it used the same sort of plug as the Hako, and then you could just take that out and plug in, sort of the Hako sort of handle, but you can't. I don't know whether I might be able to 3D print something to go over this that will allow me to hold it a little bit closer. We've all seen that. I'm sure everyone's seen that video, that photo, that stock footage photo with the woman pretending to solder and holding the soldering iron like that. It all makes us chuckle. If you join any electronics groups, someone usually posts that picture like once every few months. We've all seen it. So soldering iron, there we go. So that's that. New toys there. Now, before we open the box, and I apologise to everyone who's just sitting eagerly waiting, trying to find out what's in the box, we do have a couple little things that I just need to look at first. This is a board that I recapped last weekend, and it works, but the sound is really, really muffled. So I'm going to do something that you just saw Steve do. I promise I'll try and do it quickly so it doesn't get too boring, but I'm going to replace the sound chip on this. So for everyone who's just going like, I just watched someone replace a sound chip, I apologise, but this is something that I need to do in order to get it off my desk. Okay, all right. How are we doing here? We've got, there's 45 people watching. Hello to you all. I haven't gone in and said hello to everyone because, quite frankly, there were so many people waiting when I first started, thanks to Steve at Mag84. Everyone wants to just know what's in the box. Isn't it mean of me? I'm just cruel. I promise I'll do this very quickly. I just got to check and make sure it's the right one. I want to make sure I'm actually changing the sound chip on the right board, because if I do it on the wrong board, it'll be extremely embarrassing. So I'm going to log into my little repair software here that I've got that I do on my job tracking. And what have we got? We've got, this is a Color Classic. Oh, that's right, American spelling, sorry. Color. There we go. What was this one? Let's have a look here. Okay, not that one. Let's try this one. Yeah, okay. This person. So I contacted this person, let them know that that there was problem with the sound on this, and that I would like to replace the sound chip. And did they want to go ahead and do it? And they said yes. And this is not the right board. I'm glad I checked, because I would have been changing the sound chip of the wrong board. So let's see what we can find. It's a sound chip-a-thon, yeah. A sound chip-off. Okay, so it's not that one. No. Did I leave it up in the house? If I did, I'll skip it. All right, okay. All right, let's just have a look at what's in the box, shall we? Because if I go in and do anything else, everyone's going to start getting frustrated. And I don't want that. Well, I thought I had the right board here, but I clearly did not. I think I took the board up into the house for testing, and I think I must have left it up there. So we'll move on to the box. I've got no idea how the logistics of filming this, because the thing is huge. I'm just going to move this out of the way so that I've got a clear path. I'm going to go grab it if the box is outside because it's so big. Okay, let's grab this box. Oh, jeez. Odin's eye patch. This thing is heavy. Oh. Oh. Whew. Whew. Right. Okay. How's everyone going? Okay, does it sound okay? I see people talking about things there. I was up there walking and bumping things, so there's probably audio issues and stuff. But anyhow. Oh, I see left channel of the... Yeah, I get the joke now. Let's move this camera up a little bit so we can see my beautiful face. Or at least some of it. Okay. Okay. This box has not been opened since it arrived here, and it did arrive here quite some time ago. But I looked at it and I saw the size of it, and quite frankly, I freaked out somewhat. So I hid it away and pretended like it didn't come. Pretended like it hadn't arrived and it was a problem for another day. Nice advertising here for Peters of Kensington on the side of the box. For those who don't know Peters of Kensington, they do make some lovely homewares. I've bought some beautiful saucepans from them before. Okay. Right. Wow. We've got a few things in here. There's a box in a box. Always like a box in a box. Okay, what's in here? That looks like a thermostat or thermometer for a sort of newish Mac. I don't know whether it's an iMac or a laptop or something like that, but it's, you know, you plug it into the board and then there's a little thermostat-y thingy here, and it reads the temperature, probably for a hard drive or something like that. This is 15-inch MacBook Pro hard drive sleep cable. That's nice. I think what I've got here is someone sending me a few extra bits and pieces. And this does all relate back to a conversation I had with someone saying, I have a whole bunch of MacBook bits and pieces, would you like them? So isn't that nice? Oh, look, there's a speaker. Right speaker for a MacBook Pro 13-inch early 2011. That's a good thing to have. Okay, so, ooh, what's that one? What is that? I've got to see what this is. Yep. I don't do them as well as Steve does, sorry. Okay, whack. Thank you very much for that, Justin. Much appreciated. Super chats are always welcome. This is interesting. Okay, so this is... Wow. This... this is out of a... What? What is this? This is something from a monitor or something. I don't know, does anyone know what this is? This is really interesting. So you've got this white cable here. Oopsie. And you've got this little cable here that looks like it connects probably to an LCD or something like that. And then you've got, hanging off it, USB, a MagSafe connector, and a Thunderbolt connector. And they're all connected up to this one single cable. Curious. Don't know what it is, but I like it. That I can say. All right, so I think we've established that this box in a box is full of spare Mac bits. Oh, wow. And look, hey, can you ever have too many of these? This is the little things for getting your SIM cards out of your phone. Wow, that's a power supply connector from inside a MacBook Pro of some sort. Oh wow, there's lots of bits here. Lots and lots of bits. Okay, well, okay, I'm not going to go through that anymore. I think that'll be a voyage of discovery for another day. But this is a bunch of spare bits and pieces for MacBooks by the look of things. So that's fun. Fun. Let's put that over there and move on to the next box in a box. Thunderbolt display. Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking of. Just trying to think of which one has it connected like that. Is that? Yeah, anyhow, doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, so I've just opened up this other box in a box, and I have found in here. Okay, all right, we're going to play Guess the Logic Board here. Okay. So see how everyone goes. We've all watched my videos before. Well, some of you probably haven't, but some of you definitely have. See if you can tell me what sort of logic board this is. I know, but it's not written on it, is it? Oh, it is written on it. Anyone? Hey, Garth is the first one to get it. Well done, Garth. Well, certainly the first one to pop up on my stream there. So, yes, so it is a Macintosh Classic board. The way we can tell it's a Macintosh Classic board as opposed to, say, a Classic 2 is a Classic 2 has RAM sims on the board, or RAM slots on the board. This one doesn't. It has this little connector here, which allows you to connect that little riser card, that daughter card. So you've got 1 megabyte on board here. Then you have that card, which gives you another 1 megabyte, and then it has 2 SIM slots on that card, so you can add another 2 ones, take you up to a maximum of 4 megabytes of RAM on those. So that's how we know. And then, of course, the other thing is it has these 4 caps across the top here along this connector. That's sort of another fairly distinctive thing about the Macintosh Classic Logic Board. So that is a Macintosh Classic Logic Board that has not been recapped, and it is going to need to be recapped. So there we go. Oh, there's more boards in this box in a box. We won't play a guessing game with this one because it looks very, very similar to the last one. But it does have a thing attached to it. Oh, I know what it has attached to it. It has a terminator. So this here, I need to actually get myself one of these. It's so cool. I wonder if it's actually an Apple one. That's that there is a terminator. For those who are unaware, if you are running something like a Macintosh Classic and you want to run an external hard drive from it, but no internal hard drive, you need to terminate the internal bus, otherwise it won't work. You can plug your external hard drive on, it won't recognize it because the bus is not terminated. The bus needs to be internally terminated, and you can do that with one of these. They just plonk on there, and you've got your little bus resistors here, these termination resistors there, 3 of them, and it will terminate that bus. So these are a really handy thing to have. I have one here, does the same thing. Just here. Come on. Come on. Oh, he's stuck on good. There we go. There's one like that. But as you can see, here's a this is male rather than female, so I need to use a connector in order to use it. So, hello Oz Retro Comp. Hello Tone. Retro Techie. I'll be back. Fair enough. Nate Tronerud is here. Hello. Is there cookware in the box? No, there is no cookware in the box. We are basically going through the voyage of discovery at the moment. So far we've found a bunch of MacBook bits. spare parts, basically. We are now on to our second Macintosh Classic logic board that needs recapping. So far, 2 recaps in the box. Let's put these back and we'll see what's next. There's another board in the box Oh, I know what this is straight off. Okay, anyone else know what this is? I guess I've recapped these before on the live stream. So, anyone? Bueller? Yay! Garth got it again. This is a caddy load CD-ROM drive. Sony caddy loading CD-ROM drive. I think they were called the CD300 or something like that. I think was the model number. And they have all of these capacitors here. These surface mount electrolytic capacitors which will leak. Got to be recapped. And if I'm not mistaken, here's the second one. So we have 2 caddy loading CD-ROM drives that need recapping. So that's it for this second box in a box. So let's just put that away and we'll move on to the next one. Of course, all of this stuff needs to be logged into my system, so I have to be careful that I don't lose anything. When someone sends me jobs to be recapped, everything gets logged into the system and it gets photographed so that I know exactly what's what. So, for example, before when I was just about to do the sound chip of the wrong computer, I know because it's all logged into the system. Running out of places to put these boxes, but never mind. We now have another box in a box. Okay, what's going on? We can't get yours working. Okay, Garth is, obvious question, has it been recapped? Oh, you recapped it and that's all good. There's a physical problem with the drive inject. Ah, okay. Yes, now I did have an issue with that just recently as well. Now, what did I do to fix it? I can't remember. I'll think about it. It'll come to me later. So here's another box in a box. Oh, this looks like more MacBook bits. Boy, here is a MacBook Air 11-inch late 2010 left speaker. This is wonderful. I'm going to have spare parts to last me a lifetime. I've got CD-ROM drives. More CD-ROM drives. CD-ROM drive. So I'm all set for repairing MacBook Airs or MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs for now to eternity. This looks like it's out of an iMac. This is the hard drive connector. I think that's from an iMac. And there's another one from an iMac. So that's obviously, we're talking much later stuff. So we're dipping in and out of vintage at the moment. Right, so that one there, I question the interest in that from my viewers. Now, here's something. This is not in a box. This is just in the box, not a box in a box. Anyone know what this is? Come on, someone else other than Garth this time. Oh, crud. I'm scared. It is indeed an analog board, that is correct. All things DG, and it is from a... someone's actually said Color Classic. No, it's not a Color Classic. Someone has said Classic 2. Now, Garth, you could be right or you could be wrong, because it's very difficult to tell with this particular one whether it is from a Classic or a Classic 2. There is one type, there's an earlier type, sorry, I'm a bit out of focus here, aren't I? There's an earlier type that where there's a slightly different connector here on the yoke, and that tells you it's definitely an early model Mac Classic. But the later ones, the ones that have these pins sticking out for the yoke connector, this could either be a Classic or a Classic 2. Now there is one thing about this board I can tell you which is very different to the ones I normally get, and that is there are 2 capacitors here. Normally I get ones that have only 1 capacitor here. And the reason for that is, in this country, the voltage is 240, not 110 or 120. So we have the international analog board over here. This is a US analog board. So how about that? So And I do recall someone contacting me and saying, I'm going to send you a 110 volt analog board. Can you please convert it to 240? So that's going to be something interesting because I've never done that before. So, you know, either success or blowing stuff up awaits. So won't that be fun? So, yeah. So there's a Mac Classic or Classic 2 analog board. This will also need recapping because everybody knows that these caps leak. Or if you don't know, now you do, and you can be part of the everybody that knows. They leak. There's actually been quite a lot of discussion in the forums at the moment that I've been part of where people are getting a bit upset about being told all this thing needs recapping. And I get it, I totally understand. A lot of the time people come out and say you need to recap it when they haven't even thought about what they're necessarily saying. And I don't do that. I mean, if someone comes on and says, hey, I have got a Macintosh Plus and the screen is blank, I'm not going to say recap it because it's probably not the caps. The Mac Plus caps are actually pretty good. It's almost definitely something else. If someone comes to me and says, I've got a Macintosh SE that's, you know, doing some weird stuff when it boots or something like that, I'm not going to say recap it. I'm going to send you down a different path first. If you have a Macintosh Classic or Classic 2 and you are having virtually any problem with it at all, other than maybe flashing question mark or something like that, which is probably a hard drive failure, I am going to tell you to get it recapped. Because these are so prone to failure, they're so prone to leakage, that it's kind of silly to do other diagnostics when you are 99% certain the fault is there. There could be another problem with it, but what's the point in going in and, you know, doing those sorts of diagnostics when you know that there's a known failure on the board? So generally, and I just want to see if we can see it here. This one actually doesn't look too bad in terms of leakage. Way better than the ones that I normally see, I can tell you that, straight off the bat. But that's actually a good thing because it means that I probably won't need to do repairs. The last analog board that I did, I had to do quite a lot of repair to. I had to replace some components and everything because it had got so bad. And my recommendation to everyone is don't leave it that late. Does anyone else hate these little black pluggy things? Get out, you. Come on. Come on. This is just, I'm going to stab myself with these tweezers. You know that, don't you? Pliers. How's everyone doing? I haven't been following the chat lately, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, look, this one looks really good. There's a little bit of leakage I can see there, but yeah, and often what happens is the leakage goes through onto the other side of the board and it's really quite noticeable. Right, let's put this, yeah, let's put that back. Okay, so there's an analog board. I'm going to have to start putting stuff back in the box because I'm running out of space here. What else have we got in the box? We've got another box in a box. Oh, wow, what's that? Oh, my God. This one box is going to keep me busy for the next 6 months. Okay, this is more MacBook bits. Oh, man. Jackpot. How cool is that? Trackpad. 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 This is really, really good because anyone who's ever repaired any of those old or newer MacBooks, MacBook Airs or MacBook Pros, if you end up with a battery that swells, if you end up with a battery that swells, it can often push up and crack the trackpad on top. So it's a really common failing point. If you have spare trackpads, it means that if you had that happen, you just whip out the old battery, put in a new battery, replace the trackpad, and the thing's as good as new. So if you happen to see one that's swollen like that, and you buy it on eBay, and you've got a trackpad, you can just turn it into a working one, nice and easily. The other thing, of course, is that it's also an area that's prone to liquid damage. If someone spills something and it goes down underneath the trackpad, and it actually affects not just the trackpad but the keyboard as well, because the way the cabling works on these, if I remember correctly, it goes from the logic board to the trackpad and then from the trackpad to the keyboard, I think. but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. And so if you get liquid damage, you know, if someone's poured a Coke into their laptop, the trackpad can often get damaged, and so that's good to have in replacing this. Okay, so I've got a lot of trackpads here. Let me just go back here and just check some of this chat because I'm a little bit behind here. I need a 3 printer. I have STL file I need done. Well, Thomas, go and get yourself a 3D printer. Do those plastic pins not have a push center that undoes them? Yes, there is a little, the way they work is you've got the bit at the bottom that splays out, and then you've got the black bit that goes in the top. The problem I had with that one is I was trying to push it from the bottom, it wasn't going through. So that was why I started yanking it from the top. Okay. Battery swell, but I'm back new when replaced it. That's excellent. It's good you caught it in time, Nate. Okay, no worries, Steve. Thank you very much for joining, and thanks again for sending me all your viewers. I do appreciate that. For anyone here who's watching who doesn't know Mac84 or hasn't watched his channel, go check out Steve's channel, Mac84 on YouTube. There's some fantastic content there. Yes, indeed. I mean, he even got an honourable mention at the end of Marchintosh. An honourable mention, I say. Me not so lucky, but that's okay. That was fair enough because I didn't do a whole lot of Marchintosh content. As I say, and I blame the floods for that. Okay, so, all right, I don't even know how I'm going to get all this stuff out here. There's still more stuff in here. This is a large, interesting looking box here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move some of these things and put them in the same place so I know they're all part of the same thing. Because I don't want to lose anything. That would just be embarrassing. I'm still here, don't worry. Hopefully you can still hear me, even if you can't see me. Voice from the distance. Okay. All right. Oh, and the analog board. I'm going to leave him. Okay. Right. Back to the mystery box. So far we've got 2 Macintosh Classic logic boards that need recapping, 2 Sony caddy loading CD-ROM drives that need recapping, and an analog board, a classic analog board that needs recapping and converting into 240 volts. So, and a whole bunch of MacBook bits for repairing, you know, for repair. Can you guys still hear me? Because it looks very much like my video is just completely frozen. Testing. Can anyone hear me? Because the real suspicious thing here is that the fans on the computer have actually slowed down. Can hear, no video. Oh, piffle. Right. Yep, it's all completely frozen. Look at this. All right, okay, folks, I am about to quit out of OBS, and I will relaunch it, and hopefully the video will come back. If not, who knows what's going to happen. Back soon. Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hope you can hear me. Am I back? Oh, awesome. Okay, so at least we know how to fix that problem when it freezes. I just quit out of OBS and launch it again. All right, so I was in the middle of opening this bag here before my computer rudely stuffed up my broadcast. And now we're going to have a look at this logic board. And once again, we're going to play the logic board guessing game. And you're going to see if you can tell me what sort of logic board it is. Because it's an unusual shape. It leads me to believe I think I might know what it is. But I'm just going to... I'm going to check and make sure it's not written on here anywhere so that I can cover it. I'm really happy about this one being here actually, because I've never recapped one of these and I really want to document it. So, yeah, okay, it is written on the side, so we're going to cover it. Anyone tell me what logic board this is? Come on, someone must know. I'll give you a clue. Benjamin Dressler, he wins the that beautiful lounge suite. It is a Macintosh Portable. And for anyone who thinks, hang on, you've recapped the Macintosh Portable before, you led us astray by saying you've never done one of these before. I have only ever done the backlit version before. This is the non-backlit version, and the way I know is, the very definitive way I know, is this thing here. See this little blue board hovering in the corner? That's what they refer to as the hybrid board. And the backlit version doesn't have that. That is the one from the non-backlit version, the earlier version, the version that, you know, it's not the one that I particularly want. I would much prefer to have the backlit version if I owned one. But there, so this is a Macintosh Portable board. And it will, I did have this mentioned to me that this was coming to me, and I have been told that it doesn't work. Now, there are a few good things here. I have genuine Apple schematics for this board. That does help a lot in diagnosing problems if it does have a problem. But the fact that it doesn't work, I mean, look, it could just be a recap. I see plenty of cap juice all over the board. You can see it there, I can see it here. I can see it here. So this could be a simple recap and away we go. This one actually looks easier to recap than the other one. The backlit version has caps right up against this plastic here, and of course it's quite difficult to get them off without melting things. So yeah, looking pretty good. I'm looking forward to doing this one. I will do a live stream when I recap that one. So I don't think I'll do it today. Well, I might, but we'll see. But anyhow, so that's a Macintosh Portable, so let's add that to the list of things for me to do. This has got to be the biggest anti-static bag I've ever seen in my life. Look at it. Look at, yeah, that's quite extraordinary. Okay, big anti-static bag, Macintosh Portable, there we go. Gonna go put it out with the rest. Isn't it a funny thing that the Macintosh Portable, you know, I mean, no matter how you look at it, the Macintosh Portable was not a particularly good computer. Good screen, had a good screen, and obviously once they had the backlit version, they became a much more practical machine. But, you know, massively heavy, not particularly high powered, uses its own type of RAM. You know, there were lots of issues. You know, it used a sealed lead acid battery. Lots of things to not like about Macintosh Portable. But at the moment, it is one that I would love to have in my collection. I get to use them because people send them to me. Oh, Joe's Computer Museum. Hello, Joe. How are you today? 2 glasses of cap juice. Okay, so next, we've got another box in a box. I figure I might look at that first. Now, I do have something very interesting here. Now, I know this isn't repairs. This is someone essentially sending me a gift, which is very nice of this person. I'm going to thank him a lot. I have got 1, 2, 3 MacBook Pros here. I think there's, they might even be a 17-inch and two 17s and a 15. I think it was either a 13 and two 15s, but they feel big enough to be a 17. So there's weight there. Everything is there. There's the batteries, there's the boards. I think everything is there, including the screens. Now, I assume they don't work, but if I can get those working, then good. So that was very nice. Thank you. I will give a little bit more information about this box afterwards. Okay, so this is there's some MacBook Pros here. Hey, I like getting MacBook Pros. Okay, I'm going to put these away because they're heavy. Oh, wow. Okay. How's everyone doing? We good? All trade for 4 recaps. Well, so far 4. I haven't finished with the box yet. All right. What do we have here? Looky what we... Uh-oh. There goes the screen again. We clearly have some technical issues here today. I'm going to have to quit out of OBS and relaunch it again. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I really need to try and figure out what's going on. Quid obs. Be back soon. It's getting tedious, isn't it? Very frustrating. I don't actually know what the cause of this is. I did actually encounter this morning when I was setting up. I was just doing a test, and then it just disappeared, and it's now done it twice while I've been streaming. So I'm not sure what the problem is. It could be this computer I'm dealing with down here. I might have to go in and do some maintenance on that. It could be OBS. It could be lots of things, but sorry for it, folks. My apologeticals. Okay, so let's move on to the next bag of things in here. So I am having a look. We're going to play Guess the Board again. There we go. This guy gets the... Oh my God. It's happened again. This is really getting problematic. I don't quite know what else to do about it. I'll tell you what I am going to do. I am going to disconnect one of my cameras, and that might help the problem. We'll just see. So for the moment, I'm just going to do this again, and let's hope that by reducing the number of cameras I have connected, it might actually improve things. So just give me a second. And okay, here we go. We're back again. We'll see how long this lasts. I have disconnected one of my 3 cameras, and maybe having one less camera connected might stop it from doing its freezy thing, but it's getting very, very frustrating. So I do apologize. I know this isn't improving the, this isn't good for the viewer experience. Okay, well, we should know what one of these is now, because I've already shown you 2 of them. Here's another classic. What have we got here? Oh, it's another classic. So far in this box, there have been 4 Mac Classic boards for recapping. 4. So let's get this bag out of the way. Yeah, I know it is. It is virtually becoming like classic spam, isn't it? How many classics does one person need? I'm back. Here's the next bag in here, another anti-static bag. We've got 2 boards in this bag. Let's see what we have here. Ooh. Anyone care? Oh, hang on. Let me just make sure it doesn't say it on the board. Don't think it does. Anyone care to guess what board that is? If you've been paying attention, you'll know, because I did actually give you all the clues about this before. How come my printer bed is empty? GT, it's because I've been busy here doing live streaming stuff instead of 3D printing. But it is I'm well aware of it's empty, and I'm not happy about it. Okay, yes, this is a Classic 2, that's correct. And as I mentioned before, the main way we know that is because it has these RAM sims on there. This is the 2nd revision of this board. There was a first and a 2nd revision. The first revision had 4 ROM sims going that way, along here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one has 2 larger ROM sims going that way. So I know that this is the revision B of the Classic 2 board. And if I remember rightly, this one has even more caps than the revision A. Yay. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 capacitors on the one board. Yay! Love that! This looks like it has been upgraded. Well, you know, as in it's got some extra RAM on there. Anyone know what the RAM cap is on these? It doesn't matter how big a sims you put in there, it will be capped at this amount. And you can't do anything about it. That's the most RAM it will ever recognize. We've got our 16 megahertz 68030 CPU here. Nice. And this second board here is another Macintosh Classic 2. This is the revision A. And you can see that the ROM sims, there are 4 of them, and they're going that way. You can see they compare the 2 next to each other. As you can see, they're quite different. Quite different. Yes. So another Classic 2. The cap is, where are we? All Things DG and Justin Morgan, 10 megabyte. Congratulations, you got that right. Interestingly enough, you can put 12 megabytes in there. You do it by putting, I think it's 2 4s in, you end up with 8. And then there's 4 on board or something like that, and that gives you 12. Still only recognises 10. Frustrating. But anyhow, that's just how Apple made them. They didn't want to take away the market for their more powerful computers, so they said, you know, we're going to limit these. 16-bit bus. Okay, and then you've got this board here. You've got this little expansion card here, and it was designed as, I think, a ROM card or something. No, hang on, a ROM FPU expansion slot, floating point unit expansion slot, math coprocessor. Apple never made a floating point unit for it. There's some aftermarket ones were made, but Apple never actually made one. So they made this slot, they never actually made one. So there we go. All right, so 2 color classic 2s, the 2 different types. The earlier one has fewer caps on it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, 13 was the number that popped into my head, but I just wanted to count to be sure. So 13 caps on that one, 17 on that one. So there's 2 more recapping jobs, a couple of classic 2s. And once again, the old classic 2 cops a fair bit of flack, being underpowered and all that sort of stuff. But I still like them. I got 2 of them. Planning to sell one eventually. But yeah, so classic 2, yay. Put these away. And let's move on to the next one. Because yes, the box is still not empty. What do we got here? Oh, this is an interesting one. I can see a Power PC chip here, which means this is not one of the normal hoi polloi that I get usually. Okay. Now, this one doesn't have the name of the computer on it, which is good. So, we just check. Yep, okay. So, this is a little bit later. See if anyone can guess what this one is. As I say, you can see this heatsink on there. Underneath that, you'll find a, I think they're Motorola, aren't they? Power PC chip. Or are they IBM? I can't remember. IBM Power PC chip? IBM Power PC chip, I think. So, who knows what this is? Anyone? Anyone? I'll be quite frank. Oh, it is written on it. But yes, sorry, Ron's computer videos. Ron, you got it right. It is a 6100. I mean, you know, it is written on the board, but you may not be able to see it. There you go. But I'm sure Ron would have recognised that because I know that Ron has a 6100. So yeah, there's the old PowerMac 6100. I have one of these as well, actually. Now, I don't know what is wrong with this one, but it certainly is going to need some recapping. I can definitely see some leakage on there. So we'll see what goes on with that one. So 6100, there we go. Interesting. And he sent me, what has he sent me? Some other bits, RAM. So he sent me some RAM. And what are the other ones? I guess they're VRAM, yeah. Okay, 6100, yay. Haven't done one of those in a long time, if maybe ever. I think I might have done a live stream of a 6100 recap, I think. Because I think I recapped my own. And I remember when I recapped it, I started getting all these messages from people, freaked out. They were freaked out. They're actually saying to me, does the 6100 need to be recapped? Because, you know, obviously a lot of people had 6100s and they knew how the capacitor plague was affecting a lot of those older Macs, things like the SE30s and the Classics and Classic 2. And when I recapped the PowerMac 6100, they're like, what? Do we have to go and get our 6100s recapped as well? Now, as it turned out, my 6100, there was no leakage on it, but there was some trace corrosion, and which I did repair, and all good. So this is the last in the box. Box in a box. Last one. Okay. Here we go. Oh. Okay. Well, this is not as interesting, I'm afraid, but it is pieces of a MacBook Pro. I think it's a 17-inch. It's 17 or a 15? I think it's a 17. That. And I've got a spare keyboard by the looks of it. Yep, it's nice. It's an aftermarket one. It's not a genuine Apple. But to be honest, given how expensive they are, why would you buy a genuine Apple for that? And we've got another base here. Another one. So So once again, that's a few more bits, MacBook bits, MacBook Pro bits from this customer. So that was absolutely wonderful. Now, that was the last of what's in the box. So I'm going to move the box out of the way, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to do next. So, excuse me, box. Excuse me, box. Okay. There's lots of things that I have to do here. It's just going to be a question of what. Of what? Okay. Grab this while we're at it. This is a job that I was working on previously. I'm going to just wrap it up today, hopefully. Right, I can sit down now, nice and comfy. Let's move this camera down here. Get a bit more of my pretty face. And let's just go in here to... Oh, I'll be able to read the chat properly now. It's been quite difficult reading that while I've been standing there doing that. So, advanced, zoom. There we go. I want to zoom in a little bit. There we go. All right, so I start recapping the classic boards in the box. Yeah, just work my way through them. That's going to be a marathon recapping session, that is. And I am most probably going to run out of capacitors while I'm doing that, so I'll probably have to buy some more. That's a lot. I mean, when you consider there was, you know, 2 classic 2s and what was it, 4 classics or something like that, that's a lot of caps. Right, let's do a quick little catch up. Oh, goodness me. Garth, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Have a nice glass of wine. Not just yet. It's still only 11:53 in the AM, so it's not even PM yet. Even though it is a Saturday. I'm going to wait until at least like 3. Michael, hello. Okay. Okay, looking here. Was one of the items Gwyneth Paltrow's head? No, it wasn't. So yeah, just a quick recap of what we did find in that box. We found a whole bunch of MacBook Pro bits and pieces. So this is one of my customers who actually said, would you like any of these old MacBook Pro bits and pieces? And I said, well, look, I've got a lot of... It smells like something's burning. Maybe the neighbour's having a barbecue. I hope it's not in here. I can smell something burning. Just bear with me a second. Yep, it's all right. It's coming from outside. It's not me. Oh, dear. All right. So, what was I saying? So, yeah, in the box there was a bunch of MacBook Pro bits that have been, well, donated. I'll probably do some sort of exchange with that recapping by a customer. And then within there was a whole bunch of recapping jobs. And within that there were 4 Macintosh Classics, 2 Macintosh Classic 2s, a Macintosh Portable non-backlit version, and a PowerMac 6100. I think that was all, unless I missed anything. Oh, and sorry, an analog board, Macintosh Classic / Classic 2 analog board that needs recapping and conversion to 240 volts because it is a 120 volt board. Right. Okay. Okay. Sun over the yard. I'm not quite yet. Sun over the yard. I'm in 5 minutes. It smells like someone's burning leaves or something like that. I hope they're not burning off. Anyhow, it does terrible things to the smelling of the washing. CD-ROM board. Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to have a look at this. Let's see if my top view is working. Oh, look at that. Top view is working. Hey, where's Sean from Action Retro? This is a Macintosh Classic analog board. Anyone who might have watched my previous streams, this is the one that I recapped, and at the end of it I ended up with a terrible flicker on the screen. And I found that when I reduced the vertical height of the screen, it came good. And then when I extended it back out to be the correct height, it would flicker again. Now I did actually find out what the problem was. It was this guy here, IF1. Bing, 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 bing. That needed to be replaced. It is a TEA. I can't read it, sorry. Eye's not good. Oh, wow, that's surely meant to be done up. It was is a TEA2037A chip, and that is a horizontal and vertical something. Anyone want to look it up? TEA2037A. I can't remember. It's a thing to do with the deflection. It's something to do with the deflection. Horizontal and vertical deflection thingy. And it replaced it. So it's just a good thing to be aware of. It's one of the things that I do always like when I am doing a repair. If I do repair something, I make record of what it was that fixed that problem. So the next time I have one of these come along, then I can see that vertical flickering. I know that's it. Deflection controller. There we go. Thank you. So, just a quick little recap with this one. The recap is I recapped it. So this had lots of problems. So this is a computer. This started off with the customer sending me the logic board for recapping, which I did, sent the logic board back, and they said the computer still doesn't work. And they showed me some pictures of what the problem was. I said, look, that is your analog board, not your logic board. Don't fret, the logic board still needed to be done, but the problems you're encountering there are from the analog board. So when we got it, we had like a checkerboard screen. Now that's usually typical of it not coming up to voltage. That's usually means we're supposed to get 5 and 12 volts out of this, and it means it's not enough. And generally when the logic board is not getting enough voltage, it spits out that checkerboard pattern. So I knew that this would need to be recapped. So I basically recapped it. It also had a wicked wobble. So I replaced all these caps. We've now got nice, high quality, long lifetime Panasonic caps in here. These shouldn't leak in any hurry. And I replaced a couple of other ones around here as well. Now, once I had done that, I connected it up and it came up to the voltage. So the computer started, it chimed. We got a chime, it booted, and that was all very nice, except we still had a wicked wobble, and we still had some flickering. So the next thing I did was I checked all around the board for any cracked solder joints, and I found quite a few. You'll see that there's quite a bit of damage to this. This green stuff as I've painted on, but there's quite a bit of damage here to a lot of these traces and everything, and that's happened because of the leakage that's caused corrosion around here. So I went and cleaned all of these up. I took away the old solder, put on fresh solder, just got rid of all of that nastiness, and then fired it up again, and the wobble was gone, but we still had the flicker. So we're basically talking about a board that has 3 separate problems. So we fixed the wobble by cleaning up all the solder joints. Then we connected it back up and still had the flicker, and then the flicker turned out to be the deflection controller. So I replaced the deflection controller and away she went. So this is now working well, but because this has been in the ultrasonic cleaner, one of the things I can tell you about ultrasonic cleaners is don't put speakers in them. So what I did, I took the speaker off the board for ultrasonic cleaning, because obviously, can you imagine what would happen to a speaker if you put it in an ultrasonic cleaner? Don't think it'd come out too well. So, speaker has been taken off, ultrasonically cleaned board. Now we want to put the speaker back on, and we just want to test it out and see that it works as well as it did before I ultrasonically cleaned it. So, the speaker goes Hoya, and we are going to want to rivet that on with little pop rivets, little aluminium pop rivets. Was this the board you ultrasonicked on stream? Could well be. I have terrible recollection of all the different things I do on my live streams. They all become like one great big blur of stuff. And then of course I do quite a lot of work off stream as well. So then I just get them all mixed up as to what I've done. But it probably was one that I ultrasonicked on screen. That does ring a bell. Okay, so speaker. Let's go and get some rivets. And we'll put the speaker back on, and then we'll give it a testaroonie. So, where are my rivets? Where are my rivets? They're too big. They're way too big. They're too big. They're too big. They're too big. All right, come on. Who's taking my rivets? That's looking better. Ah, I think that's it. I think I found them. Have a look. I've got a couple here. They're too small. I think it'll have to be these ones, unless there are some others floating around here. I think this is them. If anyone is wondering why I'm wearing gloves today when I don't normally wear gloves, it's because I have recently changed my my flux syringe. So my flux syringe was empty, and so I had to get a new one. And whenever you get a new one of these syringes, they have a tendency to, when you use it, it kind of leaks out a bit of flux at the end of it, and you've got to pull the plunger back out again to stop it from leaking out. And that's it ends up with flux getting all over the table. So the table's very sticky, so sticky. Okay, here we are. Rivets. I think these should work out quite well. I mean, there may be a little bit on the big side, but who's gonna care? So here's my little rivety machiney thingy. Great things, pop rivets. Love them. Right, so pop this on one side, speaker on the other side. Come on. There we go. There's one. And then let's just do the other one. I only need two to hold it on. In all honesty, I probably only need one to hold it on, but I will do two. Okay. How would you use screws? Tell me that. I suppose you could use a nut and a bolt. I don't know how you could use a screw though. But of course, as much as possible, I'm trying to make these look as original as possible. And they are originally held in with rivets. So, okay, let's put that there because I tidy things away later. I am going to be tidying this place up. Anyone who's been following the saga, they might have noticed that when I opened up my ultrasonic cleaner recently for repairs, I found mouse droppings in it. So that made me aware of the fact that I had little mices living in here. And I did eradicate those mice. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that there might still be one floating around somewhere in a not alive state. To put it in the words of Kenny from the movie Kenny, Australian movie, if you haven't seen it, rush out and see it, or not. He has a lovely little line in that where he says, "There is a smell in here that will outlast religion." That's currently what I'm experiencing. So once I finish this live stream, I'm going to be emptying everything out from here and seeing if I can find this little dead mouse. Because I used poison to kill them, so which is awful, I know. But no time for mice in my workshop. No, sir. Okay, so we've got the speaker on. Let's connect up some wires to it. Probably use a nut on the other side. Yeah, well, as I say, it was originally held on with rivets, so when I give this back, I want it to look as original as possible. I probably won't even tell them that I took the speaker off. They might have watched the live stream, in which case they would know. Alright, so let's just get the speaker wires connected up here. Get the soldering iron warmed up for the first time this live stream. It's very unusual for me to not be using the soldering iron, well, taking such a long time to get the soldering iron working. But I've been too busy looking at the contents of a box. Alright, let this warm up. Get some solder. Yep. Okay, soldered. Done. So what we're going to do now is we are going to put this in a classic case. We are going to fire it up and see if it still works, because there are always times when I might have recapped or whatever and everything works, and then I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and it comes out not working anymore. Now, if you're wondering why that happens, it's because sometimes there are traces that are damaged, and they are making contact with some corroded material, you know, like some rust or something like that, and it's actually The rust is what's making the contact between in that corroded area. And when you clean it, it cleans that rust away, and all of a sudden you've got a break in the trace. That does happen. And it's very frustrating when it happens as well. But, you know. Yes, I do have lots of classic boards I can check it with, including my own, which is what I'm going to use because I know it works. And it has been recapped. Going to go get the classic back in a second. Hello, classic. Oh. This is really dirty at the moment, this classic, and I apologise for that. It is my classic, it's not someone else's. But it does need a good old clean. They do get a little bit mistreated when I'm using them for testing because, you know, they're pulling them apart and putting them together again, pulling apart, putting together, pulling together, over and over and over again, poor things. But it's just the nature of the beast, really. It's when I have to test these. It's one of the things I do actually not like about, you know, doing these sorts of classic repairs is the fact that to test them, I've got to actually fire this up. I hate analog board. I hate them. All right. So, let's get this connected up. I've got a Seagate hard drive in here, 1 gigabyte, which I believe is still working. This Classic has got the RAM expansion in it, so this has the full 4 megabytes of RAM, which is the most that this one will take. Which kind of means that you're a bit limited with what operating system you can use on it. I would generally recommend, and this is only my recommendation, and people will have varying opinions on the matter. In my opinion, I like to always say that, in my opinion, the best operating system to use with a Macintosh Classic, not Classic 2, but a Macintosh Classic, would be either System 6.08, nice and zippy under 6.08, but if you're wanting some more of the features that came with System 7, go with System 7.01. Will run System 7.1, but in my opinion, you will have a better experience using 701. So that's just what I would say. As I say, some people may well disagree with me, and you are entitled to do so. Come on, get in there. Thank you. Okay. I must be getting boring. The chat's slowed down. Hello. Sorry. I'll try and be less boring. Connecting up the fan. Fan cable in these things is not long enough, in my opinion. It only needs to be a couple of inches longer, but it would just make life a lot easier if it was. There's whinge. Okay, just going to connect everything up here. I've got to stick the anode cap of the flyback transformer onto the CRT. Make sure you do that, don't forget when you're connecting these up. Then I've got to get the ground wire connected, which is floating around here somewhere. Oh, what have I done? There we go. What have I done? There we go. Okay, there's the ground wire that I'm going to connect up here to the side of the CRT. Yeah. Hey, listen. Dana, hello Dana. Dana is doing Australians, so at the moment, the fact that we say yeah, no, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. And the fact that we say, oh, listen, at the beginning of sentences when we get asked questions. You say, how's the weather been lately? Oh, listen, it's been pretty good. It hasn't actually, it's been terrible. It's been wet and awful, but it's nice now. The day outside at the moment, it is picturesque. Stuck with Font DA Mover for those fonts in 701. No, you're talking about System 6. System 701, you can just drag fonts straight into the system. Surely. For the Classic 2, probably 7.5. I would probably run 7.5 on the Classic 2. Sorry, 7.1 I would run on the Classic 2. 7.5 if you want some of those extra features. But I do have 7.1 on my Classic 2. I think it runs better. You know, the funny thing is that, and I have mentioned this in my live streams before, I find that when a lot of people are working with these vintage Macs, perhaps for the first time, or you know, sort of maybe they've just got a new Mac or something like that, or you know, bought a second-hand one or something like that. And it seems to me that one of the first things that people want to do is get on the internet, which of course I find just like really pointless on a computer of that vintage. And so, you know, people seem to be wanting to put the latest operating system on it they possibly can so that they can fire up a web browser. I don't do that on these vintage Macs. And that's mainly because for me, from a nostalgic perspective, I mean, we didn't have the internet when we used these. So it's not one of the things, it's not one of the experiences I want to do. I will generally get them all running with an FTP client if they are networkable. So for instance, you know, all my LCs and Mac 2s and everything, I've got Ethernet cards for them. And then I connect them up to an FTP server for transferring files from a, you know, a modern FTP server. But in terms of actually browsing the web on these old Macs, it's just not something that I want to do. So I would much prefer to have an operating system running on these that's going to complement the hardware in terms of the speed that it can run and all that sort of stuff. So on a Macintosh Classic 2, I would probably run 7.1, 7.5 if I wanted to have a bit of fun, you know, but 7.5 still runs pretty slow on a Classic 2. But that's just my opinion. Okay. Fonts were still like System 6. Okay, well, we will check that under System 7 because I'm sure I've got System 7 floating around somewhere. Excuse me. Yes, I mean, Action Retro, you know, Sean has a definite goal with a lot of these things to be he is part of what he does on his channel, has always been doing, has been pushing the envelope of the capability of the Mac that he's working on. And that's fine. That's his goal, that's his plan. He is doing that. He's doing that, and he's making very, very entertaining content in the process. What I'm probably more referring to are, you know, folks that have these at home and they're wanting to play around with them. These would be my recommendations for that. But you know, I totally, if it is your goal to push the limit on these things, then yeah, by all means, go up to the very latest and greatest operating system you can. But it's just not what I would do with the ones that I play with. So let's see if we can find a screw like this one so that I can at least have one screw holding this board in place. I can always add a second one later on, but this is just so it doesn't fall out while I'm testing. Just got to check and make sure that we've got everything connected up. So we've got the ground, the anode cap, got the yoke, got the main connector there, the main umbilical through to the logic board, that's connected. I've got the hard drive power cable, and I've got the fan connected up. Not that I'd be too worried about the fan for what I'm going to be doing now, but let's connect it up anyway. And so now we're going to test it. So I'm going to bring the camera down here a little if I can. So just so you can see the screen and this the microphone. Testing, 1, 2, 3. And we'll just see what happens. So let's get 240 of the finest AC volts, and we will plug this in, and I'll stand back and be very, very cautious because this is all sorts of live voltage. Do not do this at home, folks. I am basically staring at a section of the board here I could touch with my hand or even brush with the back of my hand, where I would get a full 240 volts being sent to me. And if that happened, the live stream would probably stop because the circuit breaker would go. But let's try not to do that. But once again, let's not be silly, folks. This is, do not try this at home. Okay, I am going to switch it on. Ready? Is everyone ready? We have a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay, and nice big audible chime. Hard drive spinning up. That's always a good sign. And it's flickering like all blazes on there, but it's not flickering for me. It is flickering because of the, I think I probably need to increase the brightness on this as well. So that's, where are my adjustment teals? Where are my adjustment teals? They're around here somewhere. Oopsie. Well, maybe I can just use a screwdriver. Welcome to Macintosh. Why, thank you. There we go. Oh, I think it's this top one. It's the brightness. No, that's the horizontal width. I've got no idea which one is the brightness. What's this one? Yeah, it's the brightness. So, because this has brightness via the control panels, this is it's simply a matter of making it. It just needs to be at a brightness that allows you to then have a decent amount of control through the control panel. So I'm going to plug this in to ADB now. Stands for Apple Desktop Bus, and that will give me control. Okay, well, first of all, let's see what system we're using here. Probably 7.1. 7.01. All right, we're going to test the theory now. Can we open up the system? Ooh, come on. It's very hard for me to see like this, I'm afraid, because I have to be careful, because as I mentioned before, there is 240 volts here. System. I'm going to double click it. If it opens up, I'm right. And who was it? Who was I talking to? I can't remember who it was saying. System 7. Okay. Oh, I can't see. But anyhow, I'm going to double click it. And if it opens up and we can see fonts in there, then we know that I was right. And of course, if I'm wrong, you will indeed get an apology. Ah, look, I'm right. So you don't need the font DA mover for System 701. You can just drag fonts straight into the system. Isn't that nice? And there's our sounds. Sosume. Okay, let's just close that. And let's go to, I want to go to, so yeah, my apologies to the person who I was saying you're wrong, but you're wrong. I'm being nice about it. I'm trying to be nice about it. Okay. All right. So let's just go to control panels. We'll go to displays. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the brightness right up, and then I'm going to adjust this up as well. Monitors? No, it's brightness, isn't it? I can't see this very well. Here we go, brightness. I'm looking at this through my OBS screen rather than looking straight at it. It makes it a little bit hard. So I'm going to turn this right up like that. And then I'm just going to observe what that's like. And essentially what you want to do with this, you just need to make sure that when it's at its absolute brightest, I'm going to put the screwdriver. That's it. When it's at its absolute brightest, you don't see any brightness in the black part. So this black part around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. Okay, you start to see these little white lines appearing here, which you can't see. Well, you can see the white lines around the edge here. They need to be gone. You don't want any of those white lines to be remotely visible. Okay, so there's that there. That's pretty darn bright. And then let's just see if I can... I think I'm still a bit too bright. Brightness can also impact on the focus. You find that if you've got it too bright, you will end up with the screen looking a little bit blurry. So anyhow, I'm happy with that. I consider that a job well done. Well, a job done. I don't know how well I did it, but it was done. Good night to Macintosh Classic. Bye. I sneeze. You gonna shut down? Did I shut it down? Did I do something wrong? Oh, there we go. Just had to have a good old think about it. Okay, so that one's great because that's a job that's been sitting here for quite some time because it had so many things wrong with it. And he is now a happy little Macintosh Classic analog board. He can go back to his owner, be reunited with the rest of the computer, and hopefully the owner will get some enjoyment from it. So that's good. It's one of the pesky jobs that's been hanging around here for a long time. Now, if you will excuse me for a couple of minutes, I'm going to duck back up to the house. I'm going to grab that Color Classic board that I was referring to before, and I'm going to change the sound chip on it. So please sit tight. I will be back in just a moment. I'm back. Oh, okay. So how's everyone going? How long have I been going for? Live streaming. What time was it? It was 11. Oh, nearly an hour and a half. Crikey. Didn't realise it was that long. Sorry, everyone. Hope you're staying entertained. Do a little dance or something like that. Right. So, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, I have a Macintosh Classic logic board here that someone sent me and asked to recap. They said that the sound was a little bit funky, and the sound can often be a little bit funky because we have these capacitors that live next to the sound chip. There is the sound chip right there, and here are these capacitors, two there and two here. Now these have been replaced with tantalum caps. They were originally surface mount electrolytic, and they were leaking, and they have been replaced. However, this board was in pretty good condition, quite clean. So anyhow, I replaced those caps, fired it up, runs beautifully, but it still has a pretty ugly sound about it. It's like this muffled, it's almost like a distorted sound. It's like overly loud, and it's not just through the speaker, it's through the headphones as well. So that's one of the things I always do when I'm testing sound on these things. Check and see how the sound is through the headphones, and check and see how the sound is on the speaker. Because if you're getting the same thing happening on both, you can be fairly sure it's going to be something to do with the sound chip or the traces related to that. If you're getting really good sound through the headphones, but you're not getting good sound through the speaker, it can actually be the amplifier, which is along here somewhere. I think it might be this one here. I could be wrong. I can't remember. But there's a little amplifier chip on it, only small, and it's what actually amplifies the sound for the speaker. And I've had those go on a couple of occasions, and then you just have to replace them, and you get the sound back. So is the amp on the analog board? No, the amp is actually on the logic board. So yeah, I think. Oh God, I think so. And now I'm confusing myself. It certainly is on the old classic. Oh man, now you've got me doubting myself. I don't know. Anyhow, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant for this particular discussion. I'm really starting to doubt myself now. Okay, so who do I blame for that? Thomas Armstrong, I blame you for making me doubt myself. By the way, Thomas, I have finished all of your boards. I've just got to get them back to you. So, Thomas, you've got, I think, 2 boards here with me at the moment. I think from memory, is there SE30 and a something else? I have to check on the. Let me have a look. And I apologise it's taken so long. I mean, you will have heard me whinge about that, about how busy I've been lately. I have got, from you, actually I've got an LC475, an LC and an SE30. And I'm pretty sure all of yours are sorted. Yeah, work complete. So yeah, all 3 of them, the SE30, LC and an LC475, all done and dusted, all tested, all working. Just need to pack them up and send them back to you. So there you go. Right, there we go. All right, so I've got to get this sound chip off. Now, the main problem I've got at the moment is, you know all those issues I was having before with the camera freezing up all the time? Remember I said I was going to disconnect the camera? Well, the camera I disconnected was the microscope. So in order for me to actually do this, I kind of need the microscope back again. So what do we do? We'll be back. Don't do anything interesting while I'm gone. That's okay. I'm going to do a sound chip. You've already seen one of those done today. Okay. You got me. Do note that it doesn't have its own folder in the system folder. It doesn't have its own folder in the system folder. I'm not sure what is meant by that. But never mind. Never mind. Like oddities. My fave thing so far are my Apple VHS tapes. Gosh. Gosh. Does anyone have a VHS player anymore? I've got one somewhere, but it's not plugged in, that's for sure. Right. So, let's see if we can get this microscope working again without completely destroying everything. Now, I may need to... There is a good chance when I switch this on, the video will freeze. In which case I will, sort of... You should still be able to hear me, but I will quit out and I will relaunch and we'll hopefully be cooking with gas. Just going to connect this up so I can do a white balance on my camera. Plug it in. When I do this, it'll stay... Will probably stay on this image. It'll just freeze up. Freeze. Okay, see the little green light? That's what we want. We want a green light. Now. Oopsie, no audio. Thank you for everyone letting me know. I am just going to fix this audio issue quite right now. So just bear with me a minute. There we go. It's fixed. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry that I was just there chatting away to myself and no one was hearing me. So, right, what was I saying? I was saying something along the lines of, okay, sound chip. This is the same sound chip that you will find on a Macintosh LC575, an LC520, 475, Color Classic 2, 550. Did I say 550? I don't know. 550, 520. They're all pretty much the same. Some of them have 343S0129-D or -C or -A. They all seem to work though. I mean, if I replace this with a -D, I think it'll still work. But anyhow, so this sound chip's got to come off. It's got to be replaced. In the meantime, we will have a look at the traces around it to see that everything is peachy. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't double check to see if this is the right board. I'm almost certain it is, but I just need to be sure. Okay, this is the one. The serial number ends in DY3. Serial number ends in DY3. Yay! I've got the right board this time. Isn't that good? So we're going to use some heat shields so that I don't make my my tantalum caps go brown with the heat from the hot air stations. I'm going to just pop a little heat shield in there and pop a little heat shield here. You can't really see it, but it's there. And then I'm going to hit it with some hot air coming from the left to the right. And then we'll whip this guy off. And we'll put a new one on. And I'm going to try and do it very quickly because, as I said, if any of you were watching Steve's live stream, you will have seen that he did this as well. And I don't want to bore everyone by just doing exactly the same stuff Steve did. Okay, hot air station, heating. If you're needing to remove a chip like this, this is a thing called a PLCC, plastic, is it leaded? Plastic leaded Chip carrier. These are the chips that can obviously be surface mount, or they can sit in sockets. If you're going to be removing one of these, don't attempt to do it just with a soldering iron. There's no way you're going to get all of these pins melted at the one time. If you were to attempt this just with a soldering iron, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to do some damage to the board. So you got to have a hot air station for getting chips like this off. If you're worried about whether the chip is going to get damaged from the heat, no. I mean, as long as you don't go silly, well, they generally don't. So, yeah, there it is, off, gone, expelled from the board. I have just made my chat disappear. There we go, there it is. It wasn't boring, it was just long. Okay, well, we'll try and do this a little bit quicker. Oh, hang on, it's not catch up anymore. I didn't change the text that whole time. The whole time I was looking in the box and everything. So we're going here, replacing color classic. Sorry about the UK Australian spelling there. Replacing color classic sound chip. There we go. Now that has a little bit more meaning. Why didn't anyone tell me? All right, going to get some flux onto here. Fluxaroonie. And then we're going to get the soldering iron and we're going to get some heat and we're going to clean it all up. Just checking on the... We're talking about VCR caps here. They do make a socket for that part and board. Yes, indeed, they do. But one of the problems I have with those sorts of sockets, the same as this socket here, it's a PLCC socket. As you can see, it is surface mount. And as you can see, it's a bit of a pain in the backside to solder these little pins to the pads. You have to do it through these little holes in the container. Now, no, it's not impossible, but a big pain in the backside, so I'm not going to do it. Putting some new solder. Oh, I haven't got my fume extractor on. Let's be healthy. You can always tell when the smoke just goes straight up into my face, which we don't want. Okay, so sorry about the noise. So I'm using some flux, I'm using some new solder, and I'm just gently rubbing these pads to try and get rid of any of the old crusty stuff, so that we end up with nice shiny looking pads. So the pads are basically ready to take on some new solder. And we'll go and have a little bit of a close inspection of all the traces to make sure we haven't got any breaks. Because that's a very common thing. In the instance of Steve, the break was near the capacitor, but it's, excuse me, just as likely to have a break around the sound chip. So, oh, welcome back, Trina. I am still doing this sound chip. Now, I wasn't doing it all the time. I was chatting. So just in case you're thinking, my goodness, you took a long time to do that sound chip. I was chatting. So we've done the bit where we're cleaning up the pads. Now we are taking the excess solder off, ready for applying the new chip. But this isn't the way everyone puts chips on, it's the way I put them on. It isn't necessarily the right way, it is just the way that works for me. I've watched a few like instructional things where people are saying, oh, if you need to solder on a chip like this, you do it like this. And I look at it and I think, well, you can do it like that, but I won't. And it doesn't mean that their way is right and mine is wrong, or mine is right and theirs is wrong. It's just what works for you. As someone said in one of the comments of one of my videos, they said, soldering is an art form, not a science. And I thought, isn't that a nice thing to say? And to some extent, it's true in that, you know, there isn't necessarily a right or wrong way. And despite the fact that a lot of people jump onto my beginner's guide to soldering video and say, oh, you're doing it wrong, you know. I mean, I just don't buy that. It's like you do it the way that works for you. So so I'm always demonstrating the methods that I use that I find work well for me. But you may find that if you get into a bit of soldering and you you find a better way of doing it or a way that works for you, you go ahead and do it. I've tried lots and lots of different methods on old and new computers, and I have just found that the way that I do it is the way that just works consistently for me. And so that's why I do it. Now, we've got some ugliness here, which could of course be the reason why we're getting sound problems. Let's just, with that, we've got some of these traces look like they could well be broken, but we'll check. We'll get out the beepity beep beep machine. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to hear the beep with this fume extractor going, but we can see. So there's the beepity beep beep machine. Okay, cool. Let's see if I move this microphone. It's probably going to crackle. Sorry, crackle. Okay, I've moved the mic close to the multimeter, so maybe you'll hear it. Let's just check. Just tell me, anyone, can you hear this? God, it's quiet, isn't it? I wonder if there's a way you can make it be louder. It is very quiet. I'll just have to tell you. Beep. Right, so let's have a look here. Let's put that there. We're good. We got a beep there. Got a beep there. Just need to scrape this off a little bit so that I can get the multimeter onto it. You can hear it. Oh, good. Okay, so let's just do there, and yep, we're good. So even though it looks ugly, it is making contact. Yep. 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 Have to scrape it again. Scrapey scrape. It keeps going out of focus, by the way, and that's because the board's not level. So I've got it in focus and then I push it down and then it goes out of focus. Beep. Yeah. Just going to clean this up a little bit. I want to make sure when I put new solder on here, I don't have any of these little black dips. I want them all to be clean and shiny. Shiny, shiny. Bad times behind me. Shiny, shiny. Shana na na. Anyone old enough to know that song? I am. Don't like the look of that one. Oopsie, focus! Focus! Wow. Sorry about that, guys. Hazy Fantasy. Well done, sir. Well done. Didn't they go on to do great things? I have to say, I am a bit of an 80s tragic sometimes, musically speaking, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I grew up during that time, so I did listen to quite a bit of 80s music. As bad as some of these traces look, I mean, essentially, they all seem to be making contact, so it once again leads me to think that it is a problem with the sound chip. The fact that we are getting sound, we're getting too much sound. Too much perspective. Like programming, a lot of ways to do the same thing. I would agree with that, especially seeing as that's my day job. Okay. What I'm doing at the moment is I am just adding some solder to those areas where I exposed copper. All ready for a new sound chip to go on. Now, one thing that's interesting is I should actually mention, Steve was talking about UT Source, a company where he buys his sound chips from. And he was saying, you know, the chips might not actually be any good, and what can you do about it? Well, it's my understanding that UT Source actually have a guarantee, actually have a warranty on their products. So if you do happen to get one that's no good, I think you can send it back. Could be wrong, but I think that's the case. Right, now I need to get sound chips. They're in one of these containers up here. Which one do you reckon it is? It'd be good if it had a label on it, wouldn't it? It doesn't. I think it might be that one. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, it's the right one. Look, I got it first go. Must be my lucky day. It's my sound chips. My sound chips. Let's grab this one. No. Let's grab this one. No. Let's grab this one. I don't know why I'm being picky about them. They were probably all the same. Okay. Right. Here's my sound chip. Let's have a look and see. Because these sound chips are actually taken off boards. So they're generally not brand new. So I like to have a look at them and just inspect to see if they're okay. See, this one's a bit bent, a bit mangled here. And see how this pin on the left here is not quite right. There we go. A little bit better. A little bit better. Good. Right, let's see what we will see. This is so noisy, it's starting to annoy me. Quiet. Moana. That shiny song. Oh, was that song in Moana? I didn't know. I have seen the movie. I guess it probably was, but I don't recall. Okay, sound chip ready to go on. So the way I do this when I am putting a new chip on is I generally tack it down with one pin in one corner. See, the stuff is just falling out by itself, just gooping out without me doing anything. Frustrating. I'm just going to get a whole bunch here while I've got it. While it's leaking, let's just put flux all over the thing. There we go. Goo. Oh man, I got it all over my new tweezers. I've got goo all on my new tweezers. No. Hands on these. And oh, it's here and no. That's what I hate about these when you're starting a new one. It sucks. It's not as bad on the little 10cc ones as it is on the 30cc ones, but to be honest, I go through the 10cc ones so quickly. There's a lot of flux. Yes, Moana is one of those, CGI sort of kids movies, and it is a pretty good one. They're not my first choice of movies to watch, but I did enjoy that one. With, I think it was Dwayne Johnson providing the voice of one of the main characters. Not Moana. Moana was female, but what was his character's name? I can't remember. Anyone? Anyone remember? So I've tacked down one pin on one side, and then I'm going to tack down one pin on the other side, and hope to goodness that everything's straight. I think that's straight enough. What do you reckon? Yeah, looks good to me. Let's do this side. Sorry, or I'm going to get seasick here with me spinning this around. Okay, so the way I do these is this tip is a beveled edge, and I have the flat part of the bevel on the board, and I just shove it in there with a bit of solder, and we just get solder onto these pins. If they start bridging, then I know I need to add some more flux. If I add too much, I'll just take the excess away with some WICK later on. Yoy. Okay, that's one side. Let's do this side now. Bridge. Add a little bit of flux, should be able to get rid of that bridge. Yeah, bridge gone. Okay. There's two sides. I haven't had breakfast. I'm hungry. So it usually spells the end of my live streams is when I get really hungry. And I go, sorry guys, I've got to leave, I'm hungry. Last side, this one's a little bit difficult to get to. I might come at this at a slightly different angle. Come at it like this. Oh, that's a good angle, that. Should have done all of them like that. Alright, so that's four sides done. Suggested drag soldering. Yeah, I love a bit of drag soldering. I am the drag soldering king. I'm not really, but I do it. Okay, so now we're going to look at this at an angle and make sure that they all look like they're making contact with the board. And we haven't got any bridges. Looking good. Maybe not my finest joints, but they are making a connection there. Looking good. Oh, bridge. There's a bridge. Just going to put a bit more flux on there. This is why we check. Make no mistake. See, it just dribbles out. Flux everywhere. It's crazy. It's so frustrating. Okay, bridge gone. Bridge too far. Okay, there we go. Sound chip is on. So, back to me again. Gonna move the microphone. Sorry for making crackly noises. That cable is stuffed and I still haven't replaced it. 155 I've never. How big is that? That's a big PLCC. That is a big PLCC. Yeah, to fix a bridge, I add flux and drag it again. Not always. In this instance, I did because I knew there wasn't too much solder on there, and I knew that once I actually added the flux, which impacts on the surface tension of the solder flows a lot better when it's got flux around it. So it's going to kind of run a lot smoother. And so if there isn't too much solder on there, just hitting it with a bit of flux and the soldering iron, it's just going to make it it'll just separate onto the two pins. If I'd gone overboard with the solder and put way too much on there, I would have probably grabbed a bit of solder wick and just pulled some of that solder out and then gone in and dragged it again, so that I've just got a little less solder on those pins. So old VGA GPU, oh wow. Any Aussies here? Any Aussies here? Any Aussies here? Vegemite? Okay. And just looking at the stuff here. So here's the interesting thing. If we're going to test this, I've got to go back up to the house again because I don't have a Color Classic board down here. Do people want me to go up and get it so we can test it? I mean, I will. It won't take me long to go up there, only like probably a minute or something. Or do we just want to move on to something else? Up to you. Up to you guys. Oh, my back. Back's been giving me a little bit of grief of late. Just checking here. Yep, good. I've got some people coming in here this afternoon to pick up. Testing it would be cool. Okay. Right, okay, testing. We're saying testing. So I'm going to go up and get a Color Classic board and we'll see what happens. So I'll be back soon. Boy, oh boy, that was an interesting one. I managed to disconnect my keyboard in my travels then, so I'm sitting here, and my mouse is connected to my keyboard, and I'm sitting here going, how do I get my picture back? The mouse is not moving. Whew, scary moment. I thought, oh no, don't tell me it's broken, I can't even say goodbye to everyone. Right, I am back. This is my Color Classic. This is mine. I own it. Now this is a really interesting one because, well, it's not really interesting. I was talking it up there. Sorry about the wobble camera, but I'm making the table move here. I probably should mount that camera up there so it isn't impacted by this. Now, is there a board in here at the moment? There is a board in here at the moment. This is probably mine. There we go, out she comes. Yeah, this is mine. This is my Color Classic board. You can see that I've actually put in an FPU chip here. Socketed PLCC FPU. And you'll also see that I've changed this so that it uses a CR2032 battery instead of the normal half AA or 1450 battery. So the interesting thing about this one is that I did a Mystic conversion on this, which you'll see in my Mystic conversion video. Just a reminder to anyone here who's watching and hasn't seen some of my back catalogue, might have only seen some of these live streams, do jump on and have a look, because I've got a lot of non-live stream sort of resource type information there. I've got videos on discharging a CRT, I've got videos on just some general recapping ones, SE30, Color Classic, just a general recapping video. I've got info on Mystic conversion, so all that sort of stuff. Hello JJ Brubaker, welcome. Brian Gorham, hello. Anyone I haven't said hello to, trust me, it's not personal. I'm just, yeah, there's a lot of people come and go, and I miss it. I normally say hello to everyone at the beginning of the stream, but there were so many people waiting, I couldn't do it. So this is the Classic 2 that it had a Mystic conversion. Now, once you've done the Mystic conversion that I did, there are several different types. And that is, I did the VGA mod, so made it so this screen would then run 640 by 480 pixels. It won't work with a classic board anymore. It only works with a 475. Now, I've only got one of these. I don't have two. And I have just had a massive influx of Color Classic boards lately. So I had to unmystic this so that I could use it for testing my my Color Classic boards, all the ones that I was recapping. So, yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, I haven't done the adjustments to the screen since I changed this back into a Color Classic. So the screen's all wonky. It's all off to one side and stuff. So just getting you all prepared for it. Now what I want here, I know that this already works. I've already had it running. I've already had it booting and all that sort of stuff. I know it works. But what I also know is it makes a terrible noise when it starts up. This horrible, loud, crackly chime. And what I want to do is I want to hear a nice, happy, pleasant chime. And I'm hoping that the replacement of the sound chip will be the fix, but I don't know it. So it could still sound awful. So let's just wait and see what happens. I'm going to connect it up to the power. And of course I also have to connect the keyboard up, because you can't start these up without a keyboard connected, because you need to use the soft power button on the top of the keyboard. Now I do have a keyboard here, which is good. I would be very ill-equipped if I didn't. Plug it in, like so. There we go. Okay. This doesn't have the screws holding the case together, so I kind of have to keep pushing it closed. Let's see if we can put the camera down a smidge so you can at least see some of the screen. Okay, there we go. That'll do. All right, so I'm power him on. I heard that sound. It makes that little kind of a twang sound of the CRT charging up, or certainly something charging up anyway. So that's happened. It just makes a twang when you turn the power on, if it hasn't been turned on in a while. And then I'm going to use the power button on my keyboard to try and start it up. And let's turn the FUME extractor down so that we can hear how it sounds when we switch it on. One of the telltale signs with a Color Classic when you're switching them on is if the sound is working, you'll generally hear a pop just before it actually chimes. So you switch it on and you just hear this pop, and then you hear the chime. This one was popping before, but if it stops popping now, I'll be very annoyed. Okay, ready? Perfect, absolutely perfect. So that one is a fix. So I don't know if you heard it, but that chime wasn't distorted. It didn't sound bad. It was just a nice sound. So that Now, don't worry about the fact that this is all purple. That's all part of that mystic thing I was talking about before. But it should. Actually, I'm not even sure this will start up. I don't think I've got a hard drive in it at the moment. I took it out. I took it out to, it was a SCSI to SD version 5, and I used the, used a sort of a programmer to pull the code off the chip. So anyhow. New CRT pre-charged to high voltage to keep the X-rays down. See, it's good to know these things. Okay, so that's working. It's flashing question mark because there's no hard drive connected to it. I'm not going to connect an external drive to it because the internal is not terminated, which means it won't boot off an external because there's no drive there and it's not terminated. So I'm not even going to attempt. This was the problem. Unhappy sound chip. Put him in front of there. Boo. So goodbye sound chip. But that's really good because this has been recapped. The sound is now good. We're all happy chappies. So we can move this one out of the way, and then we can potentially look at doing something else before we call it a day. Maybe a recap or something like that. I'll probably open up to you guys as to what you want to say. I'll tell you what I might do. I might just do a classic recap. How does that sound? Not too many caps on that one. So I'll grab one of the ones that I got from the box. Ooh, nearly fell over. That would be bad. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's grab... That's a classic 2. Don't want that. There we go. That's a classic. Let's grab a classic. Excuse me. Good thing about a classic, not too many caps, won't take me too long to do, it won't mean that everyone's having to start super late, and it'll mean that I can stop and go and eat some food soon, because, you know, food's important. Number 4. I'm going to photograph this, and that's because I haven't logged this into my system yet. And I won't do that now during the live stream, because that will be a little bit on the boring side. But I will at least take some photographs with it. Click. And let's get a photo of the, what do you call that thing? What is that thing? Serial number. Okay, let's go here to the serial number and click. Sorry about the boring aspect of what I'm doing here at the moment. Save image. Save image. I really like the magnifier tool on the phone. You have this option to use the magnifier because when you take close-up stuff, it actually does a really good job of stabilizing the image. So if I'm trying to get a nice clear photo of a serial number, I use that magnifier tool, and you take the photo, and even if you're wobbling a little bit, it goes in and, you know, makes it all sharp and look nice, and that just makes me happy. Okay, so this is, whoopsie. I can probably move this back up now. There we go. Yep, okay, so just take a couple more photos. Just like to get little close-ups of certain bits and stuff. Like to see the state of the caps, because we know we've got leakage here. And for some reason this one is labelled as 4. Why do I start with 4 instead of 1? It's the first one I got my hands on. Oh, is Trina going? Off to Slumberland. Good night, Trina. Thank you for joining, as usual. And I promised to try and stream a little bit more lately. Might even try and do a second stream tomorrow or the day after. So we'll just see how we go. So, right, let's just have a quick look here. Okay, classic recap sounds good to me. That's what I like to hear. So what was in the mystery box? Oh, come on, Jay. Okay, I'll tell you what was in the mystery box. I'll give you a quick little summary. There were 4 Macintosh Classic logic boards for recap, 2 Macintosh Classic 2 logic boards for recap, a PowerMac 6100 board for recap, a Macintosh portable non-backlit version for recap, and a Macintosh Classic or Classic 2 analog board for recap and conversion from 120 volts to 240 volts. So that's that. And what else was there? There was a whole bunch of MacBook Pro bits. 3 whole MacBook Pros, a couple of the bottom keyboard assembly, a stack of new old stock trackpads, some cables, some speakers, just loads and loads of MacBook Pro bits. Probably from around about 2010 onwards, I'd say, probably on MacBook Airs as well, probably 2010, 2011, 2012, that sort of era. So lots and lots of little bits. So that was a kind of a gift from this customer. Now, probably won't be a gift. I will probably end up doing some recaps in return for it because there's a lot of good stuff there. And in actual fact, I mean, the 3 complete MacBook Pros there that I might even be able to get working. I think 2 of them are 17 inches. Haven't had a chance to see what the date is on them yet, but good. Oh, you forget. Thank you, Patrick. 2 caddy load CD-ROM boards as well from the CD300, the old caddy load CD-ROM drive that of course has leaky caps on it. So yes, no, this was not a Madeline box. This was a David box. So a shout out to David. He has been a regular customer of mine for quite some time, and yeah. So I'm just going to. Can I turn this off? This thing just seems to switch itself on constantly. Off. No, never mind. Off. Good night. All right, let's jump across the microscope and have a quick little look at this board, shall we? Microscope big. There we go. All right. So, whoa. Nasty. Look at that. That's some crusty stuff going on there. Damn. Wow. Wow, I said wow. We've had a little bit of warmth here, I would say. A little bit of heat. Bit of crusty. This is going to want a really good clean in the ultrasonic. Got plenty of corrosion there. This is what you would expect on a Macintosh Classic. If you have a Macintosh Classic and you haven't recapped it, don't kid yourself into thinking that you're going to somehow magically be immune. They leak. They all leak. And it will get bad. You know, I touched on this a little bit earlier on. I didn't touch on it, actually. I went on about it for ages. But I have no hesitation in saying to people who have a Macintosh Classic, you need to recap it without any form of assessment, assuming it hasn't already been recapped. Without any other assessment, I can quite confidently say, if you have a Macintosh Classic, it is going to need recapping. So, yeah, if you have one, get it done. Post haste. I'm sticking some metal heat shield onto the serial number. I don't want to damage the serial number when I remove this cap. I'm going to whip this guy off now. Where is he? There he is. Hopefully I don't damage the serial number in the process, but anything is possible. I'll blow some air here. It's really crunchy, this one. These pads are going to take some cleaning. Why did I pick the ugliest one? Oh, it smells. It smells. Wow, look at the... ooh, it's about to blow off. Look at the mask coming up from the corrosion. See that? There's all the corrosion underneath it. Wow. Oh wow. This little chip up here that you can just see in the corner of the screen there, that is the sound chip. This is a mono computer, so it only has one sound chip for that channel. If you were looking at a stereo Mac of the same vintage, you would actually find 2 sound chips, one for the left channel and one for the right. But as the Macintosh Classic is only mono, it only has one sound chip on it. The later ones, like the sound chip I just replaced, they're actually a stereo sound chip. Is your bath extractor on? It was. Thank you. I turned it off because the noise was annoying me. Should you also recap the analog board for a classic if you are going to do a logic board? Yes, I would. This is what the customer sent me, but yes, I would basically say with any classic or classic 2, analog board should be done as well as the logic board because they leak too, with alarming irregularity. Wow. Wow. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this one has sound problems. There's all this corrosion and stuff going on here. The ultrasonic cleaner will help hide any embarrassment. Right. There we go. So we're going to get these 2 off as well. Yeah, I would be worried as well. Is it the original battery on it, all things DG? If it's the original battery, I would say there's a fairly high likelihood of it being an unhappy battery now. But on the bright side, for those ones that are damaged beyond repair, there are still lots of good things in the rest of that computer that you can use. Obviously, if you can repair the analog board and someone else might be able to use that. CRT, it's always good to have spare CRTs for those things around, so, you know. And a case as well, because we all hear horror stories of people getting deliveries of these things and them getting damaged. Okay, so we've got 4 caps here that live right next to this plastic connector. This is this main plastic umbilical cord. And I am going to, I've run out of my thick Kapton tape, but I'm just going to use some of this thinner stuff. I need to buy some. I come down here, I do my live stream, and I go, oh, I need tape. And then I go back up to the house, and I forget, and I don't order it. And that's bad. Okay, so just putting a little bit of Kapton tape around the plastic to just give an additional line of defense. And then I'm going to put my heat shield in there. And then we are going to try and remove these, and I'll remove all 4 in one go. Because once the board gets warm, it makes the next one and the next one and the next one easier because they're right next to each other. So let's start with this guy. 47 microfarad, 16 volt. These are definitely the original caps, you can tell. And we're going to just banish it from the board. I've got slow blowers here, so sometimes with these they go pop. Well, these ones aren't going pop, they're sort of more going... It is making me wary though. I do feel like one of these is going to go pop one day. Alright, so this board is going to be a perfect example of why you shouldn't leave it too late to recap, because they're so bad. See that MCC? Look, I did it inadvertently, landed us right on the CPU. Isn't that nice? This is a classic example of why you shouldn't leave it too late. This is a job that would probably be a 15-minute job if it had been done sooner. In the state that it's in, it's going to take me a lot longer to clean these. Let's try not to get it try not to make it drag out too long. I am mindful I would ideally like to be finished in the next 45 minutes. So just letting you know. And everything. Where's my flux? Here it is. Let's get some flux on the board. We're going to have plenty. Let's not be stingy with the flux. Okay. Let's go. We need lots of new solder. We need lots of flux and we need lots of heat. And we are going to try and make these pads look like new. But as you can see, that's going to be quite a task. So we're trying to get the new solder in, push the old solder out, trying to get rid of that black crusty mess that happens when it gets hit with the heat. And at the end of it, I want to end up with these pads looking deliciously clean. I will probably need to do a little bit of scalpel action. I mean, look at this. There is copper underneath that, but I'm having a hell of a time getting to it. I mean, unless the pad's gone. Do you reckon the pad might be gone? Soon find out. It just looks like there's nothing on the left there, doesn't it? But I don't think the pad is gone, but we'll see. Micro Mage Repair, hello! Put down solder paste instead of flux. You know, it's funny, given the fact that it was just April Fool's recently, I was actually thinking of making a video, like an April Fool's video, and trying to make out like thermal paste and solder paste are the same thing and they're interchangeable. I thought, you know what, I could end up getting so much hate mail from that, I probably won't do it. Okay, time to see whether I can actually find anything underneath this here. Oh, thank you, Jay. Oh, I do like it when Jay's here and he flogs all my stuff. Gets my channel out here. Yes, look, there was copper underneath all of that gunk. But rather than using the iron, I've decided to go with the scalpel blade for a little bit of speedy cleaning. And I'm going to do the same on this one as well. This is where that solder mask was lifting off, because it's all corroded underneath. You can see it's got that layer of black on it, and I want that gone, because that will only get worse with time. So just cleaning that off with the scalpel here, just scraping away the black stuff, and then of course we can just coat this with stuff later on. Whether I coat it with solder or coat it with some UV solder mask that I paint on and then cure with UV light. I just want to get rid of the black stuff, rid of the corrosion. And it's obviously particularly bad. I just knocked my what do you call that stuff? WICK, solder WICK on the ground. I shall have words with the person who sent me this board. I shall say, left it a little bit late, didn't we? Okay. Welcome to April and Tosh, everyone. I must apologise for my distinct lack of content for March and Tosh. I had all sorts of things planned, but there are a few things that kind of got in the way, including a fair bit of weather issues in this part of the world. But I am planning. I'm planning to hopefully do bigger and better things next year. You guys may or may not have seen that I made a little mini Mac out of a Raspberry Pi, running System 7.5.3. And I like it very much, and I 3D printed a case, and I made the case look like a 12-inch, a Macintosh 12-inch RGB display. It just seemed to work quite well with the proportion of the LCD I was using. And I am planning to do a video on that. I had hoped to do that video for March and Tosh, but as I say, it was not to be. Sorry, I hope that didn't hurt anyone's ears there. I just read that message about a 30-minute barrage of swearing. Oh dear. Yes. I don't know what people's thoughts on this are, but I'm thinking about doing occasional private live streams, sort of by invitation only. And the way that would work is I would probably send through a notification on our Mac-Yak Discord server, and it would be something along the lines of, I am holding a private stream soon, and would you like to be part of it? And you basically just send me your details, or just you express interest, and then I would send the link to you as to where you can actually watch the live stream. So think about doing something along the lines. I don't know if anyone else is going to be interested. That looks dead. I just and in those private streams, I basically do what I'm doing here. I don't take my clothes off or anything like that. I just do exactly what I'm doing here, but I do it with no holds barred when it comes to the language. No holds barred whatsoever. It's loud, it's profane, and people may have zero interest in that, but if it is something that you would like to be part of, I am planning to do these in the not too distant future. Just for a bit of fun. Mix it up a little bit. I don't think my swearing's actually that bad, but as you will see from some of the other Mac Yackers, they seem to think that it's a little bit raucous. Oh, baby boomer twerk team, thank you for joining. Enjoy work. Working on a Saturday, that's no good. Okay. I wish every stream was like that. To some extent I do too, but we've got to keep all of the YouTube peeps happy, all of those in positions of power and those in positions of monetization. I want to get to the other side of this this crunchy looking hole here. So it's one of these ones. I think it's that one. That one that's bulbing up a little bit. Just want to suck the solder out of that. Just like that, because I think I'm going to run a little wire through there, because he doesn't look too crash hot. Just looking at this one here. Whoopsie. See, that's it here. And as you can see, we've lost a lot of copper around the edge of this via. Via is just a little tube of copper that joins between layers on the board. Now, in this one, I'm hoping it only goes from front to back. It might go to a middle layer, I don't know, but I think I'll run a wire through that one. So let's get our this thing here, which is right next to me, and I don't know why I couldn't see it. And I've lost the spot. Here it is, just there. So we're going to run a wire through the board to this one here. So I'm going to scrape off a little bit of UV mask here, so I've got something to attach the wire to. It's another one. I've been getting a lot of views of my trace repair video lately. If anyone hasn't seen that, I've got a video where I basically go through and talk about all the different types of trace repair and the ways that I deal with them. And I've been getting lots and lots of comments about the trace repair video lately, with a lot of people sort of saying, you're doing it wrong. And, once again, I do it in a way that works for me. I don't necessarily see it as a right or wrong. I have some people telling me that these repairs won't last. I have people telling me that I'm using the wrong sort of wire. I have people telling me that I'm doing the wrong thing with removing the enamel of the wire. I have people telling me I'm doing the wrong thing with trimming the wire. It's wonderful how many people are prepared to tell me how wrong I'm doing it. I generally, if I feel like what they're mentioning is constructive, it stays. If I feel like what they've mentioned is potentially going to cause confusion with someone that might be watching my video that might be directly contradictory to what I'm trying to teach, I'll generally remove it. I don't want people to be watching my video and then seeing a comment underneath which says that something that I've done isn't going to work when I know it is going to work. So in those instances, I generally I get rid of them. For instance, when I've done what I have just done and I've just soldered this wire onto the trace, I will trim this with a scalpel. Now, some people have said, oh, you can just wiggle them backwards and forwards and they break just with the heat and friction, and they do. But I just find that puts too much risk, too much stress on the join. So I just use a scalpel, just bend this trace to one side and just go snippety snip, and off she comes. So that's how I do it, and I find that works well and is less likely to cause any damage. But if people want to do it another way, then that's fine with me. But don't expect me to change information on my video or anything, because, as I say, I do it the way that works for me. Now, of course, we're going to need a ton of solder mask on this, UV mask on this. Let them start a YouTube channel then. Yeah, that's kind of my attitude. If they think that their method is better than mine and they want to peddle it, I've got no objection to them going in and creating a video on the subject. But putting their comments on my channel is not the way to deal with it. The more I look at this join, the more I'm glad I'm doing this. I really don't think that that Vevor is in very good condition, and so, you know, doing, you know, sort of strengthening it with this this bit of wire here, I think is a good thing. Now we're going to clean it up, and to do that I need a toothbrush, and it's not the toothbrush I use to brush my teeth with. Oh, this one's really coarse. This one's very hard bristle. I want something softer. There we go. Here's a soft one. I'm sorry, just laughing at some of Jay's comments. The one that I get all the time when people are leaving comments about my videos, which just cracks me up, is people telling me my soldering iron is too hot. Soldering iron is too hot. My general response to that is that it might be too hot for you, but it's not too hot for me. Your soldering iron's too hot. You're doing it wrong. I want to get this nice and clean so I can get my UV mask on there. Yeah, I mean, look, on the whole, I try and be kind when it comes to the whole YouTube thing and people commenting, because I try and be kind to people because I want people to be kind to me. I, as much as possible, try and do that. When people send me stuff that I find particularly nasty or offensive or something like that, I never reply to it. I just delete the comment. I don't want to engage with people like that, and I don't want to feel like they have got power over me by putting in a comment and then me replying to it. If their comment just simply gets removed, it kind of takes power away from them. So that's the way I deal with most of that stuff. There are times when I get a bit annoyed with some of the stuff that's written, but it's not like I lose any sleep over it. Okay, so I've cleaned that up a bit. We're going to get some... incidentally, I should mention that we've got nice pads here. They're not perfect, they're not like new, but they are going to take new solder and they are going to hold the component in place. So, you know, I mean, the cleaning that we've done here has been successful. So, we're good. Just want to mention that. Now, how many... Oh, that's 5 volts. We don't want 5 volts. I want 3.5. There we go. And then I'm going to connect up my laser. Pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. There we go. UV mask. Let's get ourselves a brush, a paintbrush. Paintbrush is what I use. I'm going to need to buy more UV mask. I'm running low. And considering you only use a very small amount, it does show you how often I use it. Now, some might say painting on UV mask before you've tested a computer is a bad idea because you might have to take it off again. And they'd probably be right too, but in this instance I do need to put mask on this before I use it, because when I put the capacitor down in this location I don't want to accidentally create a short or a long. Oh, Long. It made me think of Justin Long. We were chatting about Justin Long just the other day, weren't we? Anyone here who's never watched the Mac Yak show, which unfortunately I was not on yesterday, because I had a prior engagement. We were chatting about Justin Long and of course his involvement in Apple's marketing back in the olden days, and then his changing alliances more recently. Anyone who likes horror movies, I can tell you a fun Justin Long movie is Drag Me to Hell. He doesn't play a particularly important part in it, but he is in it. It's by Sam Raimi, who of course did Evil Dead, and it's a fun sort of horror film. You know, there's some good laughs in it. So if you do like those sorts of horror films, Drag Me to Hell if you haven't seen it. Bit of fun, and some really, really gross bits in it as well. You know, excessively over the top gross, which did make me laugh. Still going, yay! Yes, thank you, Steve, for joining again. But it is time for me to change gloves. I am going to try and finish in the next half an hour, because I have a couple of folks coming to see me today. I have one person dropping off a MacBook Pro 13-inch. If I'm going to, I rack my brain. I think it might be about a 2011, might be a 2012. Can't remember. And he's dropping that off for me to have a look at. Apparently, it's misbehaving. And I've got a guy coming in to pick up a SCSI 2SD that he has bought from me. Of course, for those who aren't aware, I sell SCSI 2SDs to Australians on my website, Recap a Mac. You go to the store, you'll see that I sell SCSI 2SD version 4.2, hand assembled by me. I sell SCSI 2SD version 5.2. I sell SCSI 2SD version 5.5, and I sell version 6. I also sell SCSI cables, and I sell brackets, mounting brackets. So my watch just told me I'm off to a great start, and he's lying. He knows I'm not off to a great start. He knows that I've normally got way more rings than I do at this stage. All right, new gloves, feeling fresh, feeling fresh. Okay. Okay. Oh, sound chip time. Yes, we did it. We did it. I'm not doing that anymore. So we did it and it fixed it. So sorry, Steve. So I had a Macintosh Color Classic, which worked, but when I started it up, it made really loud, distorted sound. I mean, twice the volume that it should have been. So when I switched it on, it was like just coming out the speaker, distorted and awful. And it had been recapped by me, and it was still doing that thing with the sound. So I replaced the sound chip, and it worked. It started up and chimed beautifully. But we have now moved on. We have now moved on, and now we are recapping a corroded Mac Classic. There we go. Makes more sense now. Right, let's get the laser beam, pew pew, and make some of this UV solder mask cure. Just using a UV laser here, which I bought on the interwebs. Maybe add termination cards. Yeah, I don't have any to sell. I'd have to make some, which I suppose I could. I should add termination cards. I'm also going to start selling some of my 3D printed stuff, but I kind of want to... at the moment, my SCSI 2SDs I only sell in Australia. And I want to start selling them. The 3D printed stuff I'd like to start selling on to everyone. And the things that I have 3D printed, models that I've created, I've got the little flip down legs for some of the ADB keyboards. So if you've lost one of those little legs, if they've snapped off, I've got 3D printed ones of those. I've got little Mac Plus battery holders so if you're wanting to get the original Mac Plus battery, but you're finding them too expensive, I've got little holders where you can put in 3 LR44 1.5 volt batteries to give the 4.5 volt output. I have yet to do this, but I'm going to be making a 3D printed replacement for the Rayon 4.5 volt battery for the Later Max. What else? A couple of other things I've done. But yeah, I've just been building these things for myself, really. But if there are people out there that need these things, and obviously it makes sense for me to sell them. It's not my intention to get rich from it or anything like that. It's more just about making it so that people can, keep these things going. I mean, the leg for the keyboard, I mean, that was for my own benefit. I had an old ADB keyboard that had both legs broken off. And so I was able to just 3D print new little feet for it. The ones that the flip down. I was able to just print new ones for it. And now it works beautifully. The colour may not be exactly the same, but it's fully functional. Some drive brackets are going to be making as well. Things like that. Oh, there are some that already exist out there. I'm not going to redo ones that have already been done, but the ones that haven't been done, I want to fill that void. I think we're getting close to cured here. You can see this stuff is not as glossy as it was before. Just going to put a little bit more on. Don't call me a moron. Going to put a little bit more on here. There we go. That should be nice to dry that, and then I'll be happy to move on to the next one. This has taken a while, and I do apologise. We may not get this one finished in this stream because it is going to take a while, and I do have other commitments. Pew pew. Of course, the other thing that I sell on my SCSI 2SD store is the PowerBook SCSI 2SDs. They're I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anyone else selling them at all at the moment. So they're hand assembled, but they work. They work well. I know because I sent one to Steve to test, and he said it worked. Oh, this is very therapeutic, isn't it? It's making me go to sleep. Okay, that's enough. You reckon that's enough? I reckon that's enough. Okay, so that's ready for some new caps to go on there. It's a mess, but it will last now. That's another thing I get frustrated with when people, I mentioned this before, when people are talking about some of the repairs that I do, and they say, there's no way that's going to last. I just feel like, yes, it bloody will. I did learn a bit about the pins on the SCSI connector, and Steve, you'll be pleased to know that the ones that I make now, I trim that pin that's not meant to be there. I know which pin it is that needs to go. I can actually show you because I've got a SCSI hard drive here. So this is a SCSI PowerBook hard drive SCSI, and it has one pin just here. I don't know if you can see, it's probably not going to be in focus. So there's one pin there that it needs to be trimmed. It needs to be cut off because otherwise the connector won't go onto it. And it also tells you what the orientation of a cable should be. That shows you which way around it's supposed to go. So yes, now when I make them, I trim that pin. So there isn't, poor Steve, when I said it to him, he's like, the plug doesn't go on. How come the plug doesn't go on? And so we then had to go and have a quick little discovery process and try and make sure that we were trimming the right one. So, but yes, that was, thank you very much for that, Steve, for alerting me. So that's why I did send you that one to start off with, so that I could make all the embarrassing mistakes with you and not someone else. Okay, this one's coming up all right. This ain't too bad at all, actually. Once I get a bit of wick on that, I think that'll clean up nicely. Hello, NK Morpheus. I'm trying to touch you. Need to skedaddle, but good luck on this beast. Thank you very much, Luke Davis. Thank you to everyone who joins, and obviously people who need to go. I understand. I know it gets late, or I know that other things happen. I mean, for instance, this morning I was listening to Steve's live stream. He was already going when I woke up. So I woke up, I grabbed my iPad next to my bed, and I had a look, and I saw Steve's Mac 84 is live streaming now. I was like, oh. So I jumped on and had a little look and everything, and then of course I wanted to do a live stream this morning as well. Both Steve and I have had a bit of a hiatus from streaming lately for a variety of different reasons, and I wanted to break that fast today. And but of course I did not want to impact on Steve's stream. But I was trying to watch as much of Steve's stream as I could. But of course at the same time I was desperately trying to get everything ready for this one. So I was sort of ducking in and having a look at a bit, and then ducking out again, and ducking in, ducking out, all that. So it is, it's not always possible to sit there and watch the whole thing, especially when you live stream as long as Steve and I do. Rarely will you see a live stream go for less than about, 2 hours. Okay, I'm just going to clean this up because this is rather ugly. But I don't think I need to run any sort of wire. I think that's fine. So let's just clean that up again. .5 p.m. Atmos storm. Where are you at the moment where it's 5 p.m.? I know that it is 11. It will be 11:15 on the east coast of the US, if I am not mistaken. 5 a.m. Okay, France. Yes, I know that it's very early in the morning in Europe when I'm streaming here, and I should do live streams at slightly different times to share it around. But this just seems to be the time that suits me the best because it's at the moment it's Saturday. I can just sit here and do this on a Saturday. Right, going to do a little bit of cleaning here because I want to add some UV mask again to this in the middle. I don't need anywhere near as much as I did for the last one. The last one was just a mask extravaganza. .45 p.m. on Friday. Okay. Almost 11 here on the East Coast, yeah. So that means that Thomas Armstrong is on the west. But you're actually north, aren't you? But yeah, you're... So, Thomas, that puts you on the same timeline as like California, I think, doesn't it? Sorry, Thomas, I know I should know where you are, but I forget. I'm good at that. It's almost 11 here. Yeah, well, as I say, it is 1:46 p.m. here, so it's about lunchtime, and of course I haven't had breakfast, so I'm now getting rather ridiculously hungry. I would like to get this done and tested in this live stream. We'll see how we go. But I know that I have got 4 horrendous looking caps to clean up here before I can actually start putting new caps on there. So we've done, this is 4. These ones weren't too bad. A little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of UV mask needed. But the next 4 that I do, I know are horrendous. Hangry Bruce. Yeah, no, you don't want to get in the way of me and food. It's quite warm in here today. Actually, I probably need to turn the AC on. What is the temp outside? 26 degrees Celsius. Don't ask me what that is in Fahrenheit, because I do not know. Look at that. Look at all that blackness there. I should probably clean that up too, but I'm not going to do it right now, no. Right, so here's all the ugliness. This is the stuff that is probably going to need a bit of cleaning. We'll see how we go. It may not be as bad as it looks, but I'm certainly going to take off that chip. This little guy. He's coming off. I want to clean that up. Heat shield, heat shield, heat shield. Nasty. Right. It smells so bad. If only you could smell it. Put that bit of wire away. Let's get some -1 degree C there. Ooh. Yeah, I don't like that. We've had a very interesting summer here. It's not summer now. It is now what we call autumn, what Americans call fall. And it has been a very mild summer. I mean, compared to the summer before, where we were just getting day after day after day of 40 plus 40, high 30s, low 40 temperatures. So that's, about 100 and, 110 or something in the old money. And we were just getting day after day after day of that. It was just extraordinary. That's what we had in the summer of kind of 2019, 2020. And then the summer of 2020, 21, it's just been really, really cool. We've had a couple of stinking hot days, but nothing like the year before. I quite like the warm weather, so for me, I feel like I've been sort of robbed. But, it's probably better. We got a lot of rain this time around. We were in a terrible drought the year before, so it's nice to actually have some precipitation. Tasty Vegemite sandwich. Oh, I do love Vegemite. Now, for anyone who has never tried Vegemite or has potentially tried Vegemite, it's definitely an acquired taste. It is very yeasty, and the really important thing, and this is the thing that I find where people often make a mistake if they're trying Vegemite for the first time. They go, oh, Vegemite, oh, okay, you know what, I'm going to have a crack at this to see what it's like. And they grab a spoon and they dip into a Vegemite jar and they reach out a bit and they taste it like as if they were going to be tasting a bit of peanut butter or a bit of jam or something like that. A bit of jelly. That is not how you eat Vegemite. You get you know, you get a slice of toast or whatever, a slice of bread, put on some butter, and then you very, very thinly coat it with the Vegemite because it's incredibly salty. And you maybe grill a bit of cheese on top of it, something like that. And that's not too bad. Now, it's still an acquired taste. I'm not saying that that is going to make it so that you're going to love it. But this idea that, you know, to people that are trying Vegemite and they just get a great big spoonful of it and they taste it and they go, oh my God, that's so salty, that's awful. You know, that's not the way you eat it. That's not the way we eat it. This is, how dirty is this? But it does seem to be with Vegemite that, you know, the main people who like Vegemite are Australians, and that's because we were all raised with it. We've been eating Vegemite since we were little tykes. It's starting to look a little bit better. Still looks pretty freaking bad though. If I'm to be totally honest. This pad here has actually been burned away. You can see it's actually, we've lost part of that pad. It looks to me like this has been switched on with the electrolytic leakage, and it has caused a bit of a short circuit along here and generated quite a bit of heat, and it's sort of done some bad things to these traces. Is that gone? No, there's still copper there. Yeah. Sorry, I just dragged it away. Oh, geez, my legs are getting numb. Sitting down too long. So the people that are coming to see me today have said they will text me when they're. Oh, actually, I better actually send a text to someone and say, ask them if they're coming. Sorry about this. I don't think I mentioned to this person to send me a text when they're on their way. Because I did say to him he can turn up any time from 2 PM onwards, so that's in 5 minutes time. And if he doesn't text me, he could be standing at the door ringing the doorbell for all I know. Okay, so let's just move that out of the way, because I will just ask him to send me a text. Always such wonderful smells when doing this sort of work. You reckon that's actually broken there? Oh, I'm going to just check it with the beepity beep beep machine. Do. Beep beep beep. Yep, that's definitely broken. Definitely broken there, so we've got some repairing to do there. Wait, that'd be nice. Blech. Blech. Okay, so I put a whole stack of solder on there and then I used the WICK to kind of get the excess off. and in theory just leave myself with these nicely coated bits of trace. We may need to do a few repairs though. So the ones that I'm concerned about are these ones here, these ones here and here. This one I think will be okay. It doesn't look too flash, but I think it will make good contact. And by cleaning it up like that, we will seize any future corrosion. And then we've got to clear out some of these holes along here, because I'm going to run some wires through. I don't know exactly which hole, but let's do a bunch of them. Why do you vex me so? There we go, that's through. Might do that one as well, because I can just run a wire across. There we go. Looking good. Right, so this is an interesting one, isn't it? Yes, yes it is. Just like to agree with myself. I know I had a little off-cut of wire floating around somewhere, but I lost it. Sorry. Sorry. So I want to run a wire through there so that I can get my bearings. Okay, so this is the problem one here. We're going to have a bit of fun with this repair, I tell you. I might use a thicker piece of wire for this one, because it is a slightly thicker trace. Yeah, I know. I do hope I'll be able to eat soon as well. You know, I mean, look, part of me just wants to get it done because it means that I don't have to come back and do it again. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. Right, so we've got my wire. He's coming through here. We're going to solder him down there. And then we're going to go through there. And how are we going to do this bit? I'd really like to go down that hole if I can. We'll see. I might have to get creative. Oh, does anyone have any questions while I'm doing this stuff? If anyone's got any general questions, Mac related questions, soldering related questions, repair related questions, please feel free to hit me with it. Because a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here is repetition, which means that I can actually talk while I'm doing it. I don't need the level of concentration where I can't actually chat away. I'm actually planning to do a video series soon where I do a little bit of a tour of my collection. Just going through some of the Macs and some of the things I like about them and why I have them in my collection, that sort of stuff. Okay, that's a nice solid anchor we've got going on there. And then we will do the same here. I'm going to bend this down nice and firm like that. And we're going to solder that to there. If you've watched my trace repair videos before, you'll see that I do generally like to do the trace repairs on the same track as the original trace. So, you know, I like to keep them looking neat. So, if you're wondering why I'm doing that and not just drawing a line or something, that's why. I just like to. Keep getting hooked. These rubber gloves keep getting hooked. Right, that's good enough for me. Just going to trim that here. I need to trim it a bit of a way back because I've got a chip going on here. And I don't want to get in the way of that chip. Then we need a little bit of a repair. Okay. Do you mask any copper you expose? Yeah, I don't always. I either coat it with solder, so what's referred to as tinning it. I'll either tin it or I'll coat it with UV mask. The thing is that copper will corrode with time. So if I've exposed copper, it will corrode in time. So, do I put entire LC power supplies in your ultrasonic cleaner after recapping, TDK and Aztec? Yes, I do. Not all power supplies like the ultrasonic cleaner, because some of them have relays in them and they can fill up with water. They're okay if you can open them up and dry them out, but generally the LC power supply is not an issue. I don't put the whole power supply in. I open it up, I take the board out and I put the board in. But yes, I do ultrasonically clean them. But what I will say is, if you're going to recap, take the caps off, take the old caps off, ultrasonically clean it, then put the new caps on. And the reason is that ultrasonic cleaners do horrible things to exposed aluminium. So the top part of the capacitor, the aluminium bit in the end, which is, you know, that bit there, ends up getting quite tarnished in the ultrasonic cleaner when you use them in that. So if you take the caps off, ultrasonically clean it, then put the caps on, you save yourself from, you know, getting that horrible black look on the top of the cap. It doesn't do the cap any harm, it just doesn't look too crash hot. This is going to suck. Just saying. Does the Macintosh 2 need a lot of recapping? It depends which one you have. I think they're the earlier ones where it's primarily... I'm just trying to remember here. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I think the early ones, they don't use any surface mount electrolytics. They're all axial electrolytic capacitors, and they tend not to leak on those old Macs. So what I would say is no, not usually an issue with recapping. They do have power supply problems with the Mac 2, and they do have problems with those batteries. So they have those axial batteries that are soldered directly onto the board. Cut them off. If those original batteries are still on there, take them off as quick as possible, because they leak and they create corrosion, and then, yeah, not good. But when it comes to actually recapping of a Macintosh 2 logic board, generally not. I think, if you look on my website, you'll see, I think there are 2 revisions of the Mac 2. Earlier revision and a late revision. The late revision does have electrolytic capacitors, and it absolutely does need to be recapped, like now or yesterday. But the earlier ones, they use axial electrolytics, and they are not big leakers. Son of a gun. I was hoping this one was making contact, but it ain't. This is going to be fun getting the new chip on with all these trace repairs and trying to make sure the trace repairs don't run away. At least it was an interesting one. I mean, it was, you know, it could have just been a boring old sort of classic recap. You know, it's just like the last one. No, not this one. Not this one, no siree. Right, now, Now. Oopsie. Okay, so I was going to run a wire through here, but I think we're okay. I'm just going to test with the beepity beep beep. If I can do this with my failing eyes. I don't think I can. I better put my goggles on. Clip. Sound effects for me putting my glasses on. Yeah, we're good. We got continuity there. I'm happy. Happy. I'll take my goggles off now. So I think we're pretty good. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit now. Get some of this gunge off it. This is probably more scunge this rather than gunge. And then we've got to clean up the chip that's going to go back on there, or potentially put a new one on. I've got a fair few spare classic boards I can raid one of those chips from, so if this one is too far gone, I'll just put a new one on. Okay. Awesome. Oh, Brian Damage, thank you very much. Brian Damage, thank you very much for that. I'm just replying to someone. Then. Okay, so I've got someone coming around 3, and then someone coming around 3:30 to 4. So I've still got time. I think I'll be able to get this finished in time. So, you know, anyone who is thinking, oh, great, I can go to bed now. No. What number surgical blade do I use? You will find it in the description, but I use a number 10, and it goes on, I think, is it a number 3 handle? Off the top of my head, but it is in the description. You will find that. I like to use the curved ones because they work really well with scraping. Right, so let's have a look at this chip and see how bad it is. So, what have we got? Sending love from the US. I don't often get to watch you live, but watching you fix caps is a great way to relax at the end of the day. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you very much for that. That is a very kind thing to say, and I do appreciate it. Right, so what I'm going to do now with this chip, I'm going to see if I can clean it up without all these pins falling off, which I think is what's going to happen. I think once I hit this with a bit of solder and a bit of heat, I think some of these pins are actually just going to fall off, in which case I'll have to find another one. Anyone want to look up and see what this chip does? It's only a little guy. LM79L. Is that the code, or is it 05A ACM? Or is it both? Or is it 230? I don't know. I do have a schematic for the Classic, and I could look at it. Or I could just be lazy and not look at it. I'd bet on a voltage regulator. I think you'd be right, because that's exactly the kind of location it's sitting there, right next to that umbilical. I would think a voltage regulator would be a very, very good guess for that. Just based on its, as I say, based on its position. So unless anyone can say otherwise definitively, we're going to go with voltage regulator. What do you do with all the caps you remove? Any electronics recycling in Australia? There is. I've never actually investigated. I've never gone down that path. Most of the caps that I remove, I still have floating around in bags and stuff. Don't ask me why. But there is some electronics recycling, but I don't know that they take components. And they will generally take boards and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if they will take individual components. So what do you reckon? Should I just grab another one of these off another board? I just feel like it's, given the state that it was in there, it's probably the safest thing to do. It's a good thing I've got loads and loads of classics. Here's one. This one had some battery damage, but that chip looks like it's quite good. I was going to try and repair this one a long time ago, years ago. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just decided, no, stuff it. I cut this board just for a bit of an experiment, just to show people that these are multi-layered boards. Whoopsie. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah. It's hard to see. I know it's a bit ghosty. I need to clean the lenses here, but you can see there's lines of copper in between to show that this is multi-layer boards. There's a layer on top, a layer on the bottom, and then there's 2 other layers in the middle. So 4 layers for the classic. There's our little voltage regulator. Hello. Okay, we've got a new one. And now I've got to put this on this board, and it's going to be a bit tricky because I've got all these wires sticking up. Is that the way it went on? That's showing pin 1. That's pin 1, isn't it? That's pin 1. So what I might do is I might bend these pins up a little bit so that the ones on the bottom are flush. Let's just do that now. Bend. 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 I want to bend them, but I don't want to break them. Always fun. Whoop, bang. Sorry about the white screen there. And let's get some flux on here, and let's see if I can do this without completely and totally destroying it and getting flux everywhere. Oh, come on, man. Don't vex me. I've got a huge amount of flux on here that I don't need. What am I supposed to do with it? Yeah, I'll put it there for safekeeping. It's like snot. Right. Chip goes down. And get a little bit of solder. We're just going to do this slow and steady. I just want to start, because I don't want to remove any of the repairs that I've done. So I'm going to maybe start here. If I can just get one pin down. Trace is gone. A fat lot of good that is. That trace doesn't go anywhere. Sorry, that pad doesn't go anywhere. But I was going to use it as an anchor. So much for that idea. Try this one then. That one's not the best either. Ouch. 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 Well, I think we're on. Just gonna... Yep, good. Oh, sorry, I was all off screen there. Sorry about that, guys. I was all off the edge there. I apologise. Right, so now we need to just do a little bit of UV mask around it, but we've replaced the chip. That's the main thing. Oh, I've got to clean this up a little bit too. What is my source for sound chips? Are you talking about the sound chip on this computer or the sound chip on the... what did I sound chip? I did a Color Classic. Source for the color for this sound chip I've never actually had to buy any. I've had so many spares because I have so many dead classics and they're the same sound chip. The ones on the Color Classic, which are also the ones on the LC520, LC475, LC550 and LC575, and I think possibly even some others. Those sound chips I get from UT Source. U for uncle, T for train, source.com. They will generally have those there. They are not brand new. They have been removed from boards, but they are the genuine article. They're not copies. I tried to source these once, and I dealt with this company in China, and I said, can you send me a photo of the chips so that I know that you've got them? And they said, no, we'll send you a photo when you pay for it. I'm like, aha. So you mean you'll send me a photo once you've finished making counterfeits? Needless to say, I did not deal with them. And they wanted to charge me... like $200... like processing fee, like a charge for paying with PayPal or something like that. And I was like, this is all a little bit shonking. And then I had used UT Source for something else. I can't remember what. Someone had said, oh, you'll find those chips on UT Source. Something to do with Amigas, I think, from memory. And I thought, oh, let me check and see if UT Source has got these ones. Did a search and bang, up came the sound chips. And I'm like, sweet, let's give that a whirl. And they were delivered in like a day. Or 2 days or something. I mean, no, actually a little longer than that. Maybe 2 or 3 days. And I was like, wowzers, wish I had done that a long time ago. Amazing some of the stuff you can get from UT Source. That's S-O-U-R-C-E, not S-A-U-C-E. Gotta go and get some of that UT sauce. Gotta get some of that UT sauce and put it on my hamburger. Okay. What's left to do after that? Put caps on. Test it. Now, let's not get too excited. This one's been a bit of a mess. I don't know how well we're going to go. I mean, it may not actually work, but, you know. I'm going to put some UV mask on. And I'm going to put some caps on. Thankfully, not many caps to put on there. Then we will test it, and then that will be it for the stream. I will say goodbye to folks. I will go and get myself some lunch because I am hungry. Oh, geez, I'll tell you what. I feel like eating greasy food. Really, really oily, greasy food. That's what I want. Yes, let's hope it does work at the end. Yeah, I mean, UT Source are amazing. I mean, you know, you managed to get hold of, like, for instance, there are chips that I use for making SCSI to SDs that are discontinued. But they've got thousands of them in stock there. I can just order them as required. Yeah, a lot of RAM, the old memory chips off some of the old Macintosh RAM and stuff like that. You can get them there. So, you know, if you can get the PCB printed, you can start making your own RAM. Big shout out to Kai, I've forgotten Kai's surname, who has been creating a replica Macintosh SE board. He reverse engineered and created a Mac SE board, not SE30. You've probably seen the SE30, but the SE was done by Kai, and he's also been making his own RAM chips. So he buys Sims. He buys the chips. He gets the Sims printed, and then he solders on the RAM chips onto the Sims, which is excellent. I love the idea. I mean, seriously, when I see people doing stuff like that, I am just like, you guys are the best. I'm busily trying to repair these things, and these guys are going, stuff that, let's just make new ones. Now imagine that. Imagine having like a Mac SE where it's absolutely brand new. And obviously there have been lots of replicas made out there. I mean, I'm sure people have seen the old Apple I replicas you can buy. I've actually made one. I made an Apple I replica. What was it? It was the... there are two different types. There are one that actually looks like the original, and there's one that is a much smaller, more compact version. And I've done the smaller, compact version. Works. It's all good. Doesn't have a backspace key, but that's not the problem with the kit. That's because the bloody Apple doesn't have a backspace key. That was something they added when they did an Apple II. Just reading the chat here. Cool. All right, so we're definitely getting the pointy end here. Thankfully, there aren't too many caps to put on. Once we have this UV mask dried, and I'm just drying it now with my UV laser beam. Pew pew. Just call me Han Solo. I can put the new caps on. I watched a little bit of Star Wars Episode 9? Rise of Skywalker? Was that it? Does that sound right? I've seen it before, but I'd forgotten it. I watched a little bit of it last night. It's not very good, is it? And keep in mind, I am old enough to have seen the first Star Wars movie in the cinema when it first came out. The very firstest one that we used to just call Star Wars, now we call Episode 4. It's amazing with that film that they managed to get it so wrong. It just needed... They had plenty of money to throw at it. They had some good talent to throw at it in terms of acting talent. It just didn't have a particularly good story. Really needed a better story. They seemed to kind of fix whatever problems they were encountering with just effects, and I don't like that. I mean, I know you need to be a science fiction fan, but with the original Star Wars film, Episode 4, what is so good about that movie? And it's hard to see it in this light anymore because it's been around for such a long time. But when you sat down to watch that movie, my God, did I check continuity on that? When you sit down to watch that movie, you believe that this is a world that exists. You believe that this is people living their lives. You know, watching this guy, Luke Skywalker, who lives on a farm. Yep, that's good. He lives on a farm, and all of his friends are going off to fight in the rebellion and stuff like that. And you know, they he's heading off to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters and whatnot. Just the way it's done, the way everyone acted and the way everyone kind of performed in it made you believe that this was just people living their lives in a different part of the universe. And it was, you know, and it was very, very good at that. It's sort of the later ones, I just feel like they've kind of strayed away from that, lost sight of what's important. And what's important: characters, humour, good storytelling. Anyhow, that's enough of my whinge. You can watch riveting movies that don't have a single special effect in them. Special effects do not make a movie. I think this is dry. Sorry about the length of time it's taken here, because this is drying. It's like, you know, watching UV solder mask dry is like watching UV solder mask dry. Right, okay, how we go? I haven't even looked at the stuff here. I've got 32 people watching at the moment, so it's died down a little bit, which is understandable because I am very boring at the moment. But we have to get some new caps on here now, so let's start. And then we'll get on to testing, and then we will bring peace to the world. Wow. Maybe not, but we might get a classic working. Now, can I remember what caps go where? Short answer? No. So I'm going to look it up. Oh, did I cut that bit of trace on the bottom? No, I didn't. Should do that. Goodbye. Right. I know these are all 4716s, but I can't remember the rest of them. Oh, fall down. Don't need that. Classic. Classic. I know I've got one in here. And you will also find on the website these guides that I have in my little folder here, which you can't really see because it's not on camera. But trust me, I'm looking through a folder at the moment. Classic 2, Classic. 747s and 111. Let's get some caps. Oh, Shazbat. 1 microfarad 50. Boop. And then the rest of 47s. Was it 7? Jeez, I do need more of these. I did order some, but who knows when they're going to come. 5, 6, 7. Okay. If you get a translator, make sure it speaks Bachi. Sorry, just another Star Wars reference there. Just plonking these down in their location, just make it a little bit easier when it comes time to put them in. Is it that way? I can't see. I can't see you. There we go. Alright, let's start with this little row, because that's where we are. Still going. But we are at the final stages. We've done all the cleaning, we've done all the repairing. Well, we think we've done all the repairing. And now we're just putting new caps on, and then we'll try it out. This one is never going to be a thing of beauty because of the damage. But it will work, hopefully. That is the plan. And although someone might look at it and go, oh man, it's not pristine, I want it pristine, I'm just not of that mindset, you know. I don't mind if there's a little bit of UV solder mask and a little bit of wire inside. As long as that thing works, I'm a happy chappy. If anyone wants to know what brand of capacitors I use here, I use Chemet. There are other brands out there that are just as good, but the ones that I use are Chemet. I have had some availability issues of late getting some of these caps, but let's hope that's stopped. I do use tantalums. I have in some instances used other. Sometimes I have people specifically ask me to replace the electrolytics with electrolytics because they want the board to look original. Perhaps for, you know, I don't know, maybe trying to get greater resale or something like that. I have had people ask me to replace with polymer hybrids, which look like electrolytic caps, but they don't leak. They use a powder instead of a liquid inside them, so they don't leak. But I would generally, with these, prefer to be using TANTs. Okay. This is our one microfarad 50 volt. The way you can tell that it is 1 is because the measurement is given on these in, I think they're picofarads. And there's what, 1 million picofarads in a microfarad, something like that. So when we're looking at this, oh, no, we're not looking at that. When we're looking at this number says 105, and that's 1 0 followed by 5 zeros. That will give you a grand total of 6 zeros. So it is 1 million picofarads, which is 1 microfarad. Why isn't this going flat? Go flat. If it works, it's a thing of beauty. Oh, I do like that. It's a very poetic thing to say there. I love firing up these old Macs. It's something that I spend a lot of time repairing these, and obviously I fire them up and I test them. I don't get a lot of spare time to just play with them anymore. And I do sometimes, but you know, I sometimes regret. I just sort of think to myself, you know what? Today I don't want to recap. I don't want to repair. I just want to fire up my old Quadra 950 or Quadra 700 or Mac 2 CI or whatever. I just want to fire it up and have a bit of fun, have a bit of a play with it. Just use it. Install some software and have a bit of a muck around. But you know, I mean, just to give you an idea, I've ended up having to stop taking on new recapping jobs just for a little while. I'll be starting it up again soon because I am just about through my backlog. During that time, when I have not been taking on recapping, I have had about 30 or 40 recapping requests come through. So yeah, there is a demand. There is definitely a demand. I won't be taking any recapping jobs from overseas anymore, unfortunately. I apologise to anyone who might be wanting to send me something from overseas, and the main reason why is because the only jobs that come to me from overseas are really bad ones. They're not just straight recaps, they are things that have all sorts of problems with them, and then they come here and they take up huge amount of my time, and it's just slows down the normal recapping work. You know, I really like to try and get as many of these done as quickly as possible, and if I've only got, I don't know, let's say 10 to 20 hours in a week to spend on recapping, if I end up spending 8 hours on one repair, that's a big chunk out of my week in terms of the amount of work I can get done. I don't like the look of some of these ones here. I'm just going to run the beepity beep on them and just see if we've got continuity, and then we can probably fire them up. Yep, all good. Just put a bit of extra solder on those, and then we can fire them up. I'll stop sending you stuff. Yeah, you've only sent me one board, Jay. Only one. Just the one. You know, I really should take this off and clean it up. And I think I will, but I won't do it now because everyone's been waiting so patiently. I don't want to slow everyone down. I do believe that everything is making contact, so I think we're fine, but I just would feel a lot better if these joints were all cleaned up. Looks like crap, doesn't it? Okay. I've seen good ones mostly. Yes, you did, Thomas. And you know what, Thomas? I might even make an exception for you. Because you are now what is referred to as a regular. Because you have sent me, what is it, 4 boards? Was it 5? I don't know, something like that. So I always make exceptions for my regulars. Take, for example, that box I opened today. It had, I don't know, what is it, 7 or 8 bloody recap jobs in it. That got sent to me during a time when I said, don't send me any recapping, but it's from one of my regulars. I'm not going to knock it back. Just checking. Always like to check. Make sure that everything's soldered down. Everything's in the right polarity. Because you don't want to reverse the polarity. We see what happens to that in Doctor Who all the time. It opens up time and space dimensions. It unlocks doors. You know, that was the answer back in the olden days of Doctor Who. I'm going to reverse the polarity. Yeah, so and we don't want any of that crazy stuff happening here. So let's jump across to the testing phase. And we've already got a classic. We used it before for testing the analog board. And please tell me I didn't take the analog board off, did I? No, I don't think I did. So I'm going to go get that now, and then we'll do this test, and then that will be it for today. Ooh, one little heavy computer. Ow, 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 ow. Welcome, Mr. Mac Classic, for the second time today. There we go. See a little bit of the screen there. A little bit less of my ugly mug. I've got to take the RAM expansion out. That's the RAM expansion card that I was referring to before. 1 megabyte soldered onto the board there. Then 2 1 megabyte sims chucked on there. That just slots into the board. It slots in. Like that. Cool. Okay, I need to unplug the SCSI and the floppy and the what I refer to as the umbilical, but it is the connection between the analog board and the logic board. So there's two things going on that in that little umbilical cable. It's getting power from the analog board, but it is also sending the signal and the sound to the analog board. So it's sending the video signal and the sound to the analog board, which then puts it on the screen. This is my classic board. It's no thing of beauty. Geez, it could do with an ultrasonic clean, what looks it so. Here's the board. This is the one we've just recapped and done some repairing on. Once again, I reckon I've probably got about a 75% chance that this is going to work straight up. You know, there was a lot of damage there, a lot of corrosion. I might need to do some more work and a little bit more inspection, but most of the time, classics are fairly straightforward. Don't hear Steve say me. Don't let Steve hear me say that, because I know he has had some fun and games with classics in the past. Makes for great live streams though, I tell you. If Steve's going to be working on a classic, you're pretty much guaranteed of a 3-hour stream for sure. Okay, we've got that there, we've got that there, we're plugged in. Okay, let's plug in the extra RAM. Now, what we're looking for is a nice loud chime, and obviously it'd be nice if it booted it as well. Booted it did. Going to plug in some power. Once again, don't do this at home because it is dangerous. Ready, set. Is everyone ready? I just want to check. I don't want to hear it like after I've done this, like, oh, I missed it. So, okay, is everyone watching? Everyone ready? We're going. Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right, let me turn this off. This is too loud. There we go. 3, 2, 1. There's a lovely sound there, so we know that the sound's good. Sound chip is happy. And don't worry about the flickering. That is just from the sync being out with the camera. These are run at about 60 hertz, and who knows what the camera's doing. It changes, I think. It changes the camera based on the brightness. And, oh, look at that. We've got a happy Mac. Welcome to Macintosh. So that is a good finish to it. So it's actually all been quite successful here today, I think, wasn't it? What did we do? Oh yeah, we opened a box. That wasn't going to go bad, was it? I mean, that was going to be easy. So we opened a box, we recapped the classic, put a speaker back on an analog board. Did a sound chip. Did I test that? Yeah, I tested that. That worked. So everything has worked today. My goodness. I'm going to go out and buy a lottery ticket. Okay, well there we go, everyone. I hope I haven't plugged in the keyboard. I hope everyone has enjoyed today's live stream. Sorry about all those technical issues at the beginning with the camera kept on freezing. That was very frustrating for me as well as you guys. Oh, look at that. Thank you very much, Jay, for that super sticker. I'm going to shut this guy down. We'll say good night. And I'll disconnect this because it's lots of live power floating around here. And then I will do my normal thing where I talk directly to camera. And I say, guys, thank you very much, guys and gals, everyone who has watched and kept me company while I've been doing this work today. It has been a big old live stream today. It has been, what is that? 3 hours and 45 minutes. So that's one of my longer. So, yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping me company. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. Thank you, GT, for that $5 just came in. Thank you. So that's $5 US, which is going to be what, like about 150 Australian dollars, something like that. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you at the next one. I do plan to stream probably in 2 days' time. So that will be American Sunday, most probably. That's the plan, if all goes to plan. So thanks again, guys. I click the end stream button. I say thank you to you all. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please click the bell. Do what you have to do. And I will see you all at the next one, hopefully. Thanks a lot. Bye.